All rise for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome tonight. We got a pretty full meeting with everybody tonight. So, I actually wanted to. First of all, we always start with the recognizing the Employee of the Month, and for the month of February 2015, our Employee of the Month is Jim Nanos, and Jim is a great guy. I'll just read what his co-workers wrote about him. Always willing to share knowledge, works as a team player to finish all projects, a very positive attitude, great attendance, all around great fellow employee, and great to work with. And so, Jim, thank you. He's also a village resident too, and we're very fortunate to have Jim on board with us. So, congratulations to Jim by being nominated by your fellow employees and being recognized by the supervisors here. That's great. We're going to do switch the agenda just a minute. We'll do the oath of office. So we've got a few people, some police officers here to join the Village of Southampton officially. So, Steve?
With Officer Reed, please.
Chief, come on up here.
Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Edward Reed,
I, Edward Reed,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New
and that I
York,
will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just need your signature right there. Sean Vigliata. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Sean Vigliata Hubbard,
I, Sean Vigliata Hubbard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of a police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please. 6-4. 2-6-5. Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything to these guys?
Welcome aboard. You guys started in November and worked part-time before that, but now it's official. And you both came highly recommended, and we're looking forward to you having a great career. And thanks for coming to our department instead of the other choices you might have had.
Welcome aboard, guys. Thank you. And they're here replacements for people that have retired. So you guys did a great job as part-time and highly recommended by the chief and the supervisors you guys worked with, and we're glad to have you on board. So this is great. Thanks. And I drive a.
Blood, right?
Okay. We have a public comment. We have 3 minutes to speak. Susan Van Oltz.
Hi, I'm Susan Van Olst. I live in Tuckahoe, but I'm here to speak about a project that's going to affect the village. This is a proposal before the town board right now. It's for a mega mall on County Road 39, fondly called the Tuckahoe Center. This is going to be an enormous project that will draw enormous traffic to the area. And unfortunately, a large percentage of that traffic is going to come right through the village streets. And I think that's something that you need to take very seriously. I made a chart. These are figures that the developer has provided himself. In order to build this, he needs a change of zone from the town board, because the zoning currently is highway business. And the reason it's highway business is to limit the amount of traffic that is drawn to the area, because that road is overburdened now. It's at capacity. There are 51,000 cars a day in the summer on that road, and that's maximum capacity now. So if there was no change of zone and the properties were just developed as of right, you would see in the morning and evenings and Saturday and Sundays this kind of traffic. 200 cars, just about that. And that's what you want on that road. If this project is approved and is built, you instead will see these kinds of numbers. Instead, you will see 700 cars. And those cars are not going to go on County Road 39 when they can avoid it. They will be working their way down Hill Street and up McGee and up Bishop's.
Just for the camera.
Okay. It means a 276% increase in traffic. And I just don't see how the village is going to deal with that. I don't think the residents are aware of the impact of this, and I think it's up to you to realize that you have to protect your village. You're doing so much hard work and spending time and energy and money on revitalizing the village and safeguarding its economy. And Bob Gibbs himself kind of made the point that when you build this kind of development outside of the village, it just sucks the people there. And there will be no reason. I mean, there are people who want this. There are a lot of people who want another supermarket alternative. And I think there's probably vast agreement on that. There is not agreement that this is the right place to put it. And as far as the village is concerned, I think what you will find is that people are just not going to have to come here because it will be a supermarket there, it will be a bank there, it will be several retail stores, it will be restaurants. Why will people have to come into the village anymore? They can all go there. And they're not going to want to do it on County Road 39, so they're going to find their way through the village streets. And I only have one copy of this. I'll give it to you, and maybe you can make copies, but it kind of shows the impact on the local streets and the increase in traffic and what's going to happen when people try to get through intersections where there are only stop signs and you have all that traffic trying to negotiate those intersections. So I urge you to read everything you can and educate yourselves and oppose this project. So I have pictures of what it will look like as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Okay, so we're going to go to board presentations. We've asked people to come in and kind of brag about 2014. And every year we do this in the February meeting to talk about what we've accomplished. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on that in all the departments and with the volunteer services that people are completely unaware of. And I think it's important that we take this opportunity to recognize the hard work of our departments and stuff. So we've got members of the ambulance and the fire department here to come and talk about theirs. The building inspector's here to talk about his stuff, and everybody else. And the chief is here to talk about the police department. And we've got each one of the. We've all spoken with our departments to be able to come in and spend a few minutes kind of brag about what everybody's done. So let's see here. Chief Fowler, you want to go since you got 3-1 on Camp? So. Oh yeah. So. Oh.
All this technology we got, this is what we're looking at?
Was that?
Curtain in the wall?
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Well, hi. All right. Good evening. I'm Rick Fowler. I'm chief of the ambulance. I have my assistant chief, Dan Berry, and second assistant chief, Chris Epley, here with me tonight. We're going to kind of go over who we are, some accomplishments from last year, and some goals that we want to see this year. So just a little introduction. We were founded in 1993. We're a New York State DOH Advanced Life Support Agency, meaning we can provide the highest level of care possible to sick and injured patients. We were awarded the 2012 Suffolk County EMS Agency of the Year. We have ongoing community programs, and we provide 24/7 emergency care. We consist of highly trained personnel voluntarily providing state and nationally certified emergency care. Our current membership, we have 70 volunteers, 7 of whom are advanced life support EMTs, 15 are regular EMT basics. We have 16 drivers and 32 assistants, 7 of which are high school seniors. We took on 18 new members over the last year, so a pretty big increase for us. In addition to our volunteers, we also have part-time advanced life support first responders. We have 11 of these guys. They provide 24/7 coverage for us. They do 12-hour shifts. Before this year, last year we only had 12 hours a day coverage. So in July, we recognized the need for additional coverage, and we were fortunate enough to add that, and it's turned out really well for us. Our call volume went up dramatically this year. We finished up 104 calls over where we were last year. So in 2013, we had 667. Last year, we finished up with 771. Big increase for us. But we got out for every single call. So in 2014, like I said, we had 771 calls. We had handled 142 mutual aids. That's offering assistance to neighboring departments. In 2013, we only had 71 of these. So this year, or last year, that went up quite a bit with 142. You can see Amagansett 3 times, Bridgehampton 15, Hampton Bays 23, Southampton Town Ambulance 98, and Sag Harbor 3. Whenever a department runs into help where they can't handle a call, or they run out of resources, they call on us and we go in and help them. Additionally, we'll call for these other departments if we run out of resources. But over the past 4 to 5 years, we have never mutual-aided or given away a call because we were unable to handle it due to the lack of response. The only time we're calling in for extra help is when we run out of equipment or run out of resources. So that's something to be pretty proud of, and we really strive to do that each year. There's some pictures from calls. So in addition to the calls, we have a response time. We've been decreasing that over the years. It's been right around 4 minutes the last several years. That's a great response time. Last year, our average response time was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. That's from the time someone calls 911 to the time the first ambulance unit gets on scene to start care. The average time is 4 minutes. The county standard, they want someone there within 9 minutes. As you can see, 93% of our calls we have someone there and under their great amount of time. So just some other stats, manpower by month, it's kind of hard to see, but we have roughly 3,301 man hours total for calls. That's just calls alone. That's not including all the extra. So it's a lot of hours. Non-call hours, 24,760. That includes duty crew shifts, standbys, classes and trainings, meetings, and other non-call activities. It's quite a lot of time. Standbys consist of varsity football games, all the charity runs here in the village, the Polar Bear Plunge, parades, graduations, Special Olympics, which we did last year, large funerals and wakes, snowstorms and severe weather, and covering neighboring districts during events. So there's some pictures. That's of the Special Olympics and then the Polar Bear Plunge. So our total volunteer hours, as you can see, it equates to just over 28,000 man hours. That's about 62 working days per member, which is quite a lot. So our volunteers put in a lot of time. for this village. Awards received this past year, we got a Suffolk County REMSCO CPR Save Award. We had a cardiac arrest, Dr. Fine's office. We were able to revive the patient, bring him back, and he's doing really well. So our crew was recognized for that. So training this last year, we had 2 newly certified EMTs, which EMT course is about 150 hours of training. We have 3 newly certified EMT paramedics. That's roughly 1,600 hours of training apiece, and 2 EMTs recertified this past year, which is about 110 hours. The constant recertification for training, all of our members have to update all their training to keep up to par. We do continuing medical education classes. We also train with neighboring EMS and fire departments. This is a new rehab equipment that we added this last year. This is our inflatable tent. It's a shelter. We have a heating and air conditioning unit for this. It keeps firefighters and our volunteers out of the weather on larger incidents. So at fire scenes, we can bring the firemen in after going inside, and we can evaluate them, check their vitals, and keep them out of the elements so they can stay warm or cold depending on the outside weather. We're the only one in the nearby area that has this specialized equipment. Another picture, we can back the ambulance right up, kind of make like a mini medical station. We also added this past year a new ambulance to us. It was used. We purchased it from our neighbors at Southampton Town Ambulance. It was put into service July of last year. Over that course of the weekend, it went out several times, and this past year we've used it countless times, and it's come in quite handy. It's also proven to be very well for us. This past year we had some ambulances go down for some unexpected maintenance. We were able to use that, so we did not strip ourselves. We were able to keep 2 ambulances in service at all times. And we also were able to use it when we had to do routine maintenance. There's a picture of it, got it all painted and lettered to look like our fleet. We continue to do the community CPR classes. We offer them monthly for community members to come down and learn CPR. Last year, we certified the village employees, all the municipal workers that wanted to take it. And we continue doing the CPR programs in the schools, doing the hands-only CPR, relief of choking, use of AEDs, and basic first aid. We're going to be going to the high school in a couple months. We just got done doing the intermediate school and Our Lady of the Hamptons this week. So new headquarters last year, that was our goal. This year, we were able to get that approved, which we'd like to thank the village taxpayers for approving that. It's a huge need for us, and we're very excited to begin that project. We're hoping to break ground in the early fall, so we're continuing to work on that. So this coming year, some of our goals, we want to increase the number of certified driving instructors for our department. We want to recertify more CPR instructors so we can teach more people. We want to enroll more members in EMT classes. We're going to update some of our dispatch policies and protocols, and we're going to begin the construction of our new headquarters. Community CPR, the CPR classes are increasing. We would like to install the AEDs throughout the village that we purchased last year. We want to roll out our Heart Safe community that we've been working on over the course of the several years, and install emergency AED towers throughout the village for anyone to call for help and utilize an AED. CPR in schools, we're going to continue this year with the CPR and first aid. We're looking to add it to the school curriculum, so every student's required to learn CPR before they graduate. It's an initiative that they're lobbying up at the state right now, so we're trying to get on with that. And lastly, we want to expand our special operations unit. We have our all-terrain beach vehicle, our Polaris. We have our inflatable tent with the HVAC, and we have our donated trailer. The Southampton Bath and Tennis Club and the Elks Club donated a trailer for us so we could move around our Polaris and our firefighter rehab equipment. We're looking to add a four-wheel drive pickup truck this year to tow that trailer and transport patients in inclement weather, and it would also assist as a volunteer first responder and at special events. And that's pretty much all we have. Any questions for us?
I don't know. I mean, the numbers, I mean, obviously you've been up here many times in the past year for different, and going over the numbers. So the numbers, speak for themselves. I mean, you know, I think the one number that stood out there was you doubled the mutual aid numbers, 71 to 142. It's exact, you know,
Yeah.
double. So, I mean, you know, I'm excited that we're going to be going ahead finally with the new headquarters, which is, again, was long overdue, but we'll be getting going on that to get you guys into a building that, you know, you're deserving of.
The mutual aids are more work for our department, but it shows you that other departments can rely on us for help in their times of need, whereas other departments aren't able to provide as much care as us. So we have some very great volunteers and dedicated members, and all these other departments know that they can always count on us when they need us.
And then you have strong numbers. I mean, you know, finding volunteer, everybody's come up here for many years, and finding good volunteers in all departments is a challenge. So apparently something's going right here because you've been able to overcome that challenge and continuously find good talent. So I commend you guys, chiefs, for doing that and keeping the department pertinent and updated and things like this. That keeps them coming in and going out to help the public.
Just, you know, trying to comprehend the volume of hours that are spent doing this volunteer job.
Yep.
I don't think people understand it, between what you guys do in the fire department, and then on top of, you have members that are in both departments.
We do. We have a lot of dual members.
And so you look at and you're one of them, Chief, and you think the volume of hours, the training hours, the dedication, it's incredible, and you know, absolutely just sit back in awe of what you guys do. I really do, and it really is unbelievable.
And you got several too that are police officers too on top of these.
Oh,
as well.
that's true.
So,
Yeah.
So you got
Police officers, public dispatchers, you know, focused in on safety and protecting the public, and
a lot of hours.
yeah, and the numbers here just speak for themselves. And you're right, the other departments do realize that the Village of Southampton's Volunteer Ambulance Corps is a extremely dependable group, and that you guys do a great job, and you have fantastic relationships with the other departments, which I'm very proud of, because you represent this community in the kind of way that we want it represented. So thank you for that. So,
Thank you, guys.
and then you get up from dinners and birthday parties, and you know, leave your dogs behind in my house and stuff like that, and respond, right, Chris? So,
I guess it's directed towards at least one of those guys in the
One of
video
those
audience. I don't know
guys,
about all of them.
exactly. So no, it's
But now I know
it's
I can
all
do that.
great stuff. The joke in our house was that Chris would press the button to get out of, you know, having to do the dishes. So, but no, yeah, there you go. But no, it's we greatly appreciate. We're very proud too.
Thank you.
What the job you guys do, we really do. So thanks.
All right, and just last before we leave, just so you guys know, I'm sure you heard paramedic Ralph Oswald passed away in the line of duty in Hampton Bays. We're going to be participating in those services tomorrow night and Saturday morning. So we're going to have another district standing by from us, for us. They're probably going to be from further west. So if you see a strange ambulance around town here, that's the reason why.
Okay.
So the village will be covered while we're participating in those events.
And he was a good man.
He was a very great man, and
He was a good man.
going to go
So,
support our neighbors over there.
yeah, he was a big.
Definitely.
Played a very instrumental role in the where Hampton Bays Ambulance District is today.
Plus, he trained a lot of people. I understand. Everybody knows him just not by working alongside him, but training underneath them. So
Yep.
he really.
A couple of our members
epitomized.
were in EMT class right now with him. He was my EMT instructor a couple years ago, so
He definitely
Everyone has
epitomized.
very close ties with him.
What a good volunteer.
So, all right, well, thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, Chief.
Unfortunately, Ricky told me when he came in that he erased my slideshow, so
Oh,
I don't have one.
It's okay.
You got finger puppets?
What's that?
Finger puppets?
Well, welcome. My name is Mike Camp. I'm Chief of Southampton Fire Department. Sorry I don't have a fancy slideshow like Ricky did. But our call volume over the last year has been a little bit down, actually, so we're actually feeling pretty good.
Okay.
We've had 655 total calls for 14. Of that, 395 of those were false alarms. chief's investigations that typically only the chiefs and the captain will respond to. We had 48 fires, 26 medical assists, car accidents or assisting the ambulance, and 94 hazardous conditions, whether that be wires down, gas in a residence, CO, stuff like that. Of those 395 false alarms, 210 of them were here in the village, and as we all know, we protect the protection district outlying, and 152 of those were outlying. So our calls are still 349, sorry, for the village, and 245 for the outlying district. Currently, we've actually had a upswing of all these young members, and like you were saying, the combined members, a lot of the members from the ambulance are now joining the department, and it's becoming a great working relationship between the two. We are full at 140 members right now. A lot of people have been coming in. We're still holding on to some of our older timers who still help out dearly in all these standbys and everything they can do outside of actually fighting the fires. Last year, our water rescue team made huge strides. We teamed up with the Coast Guard and did all of our water rescue training, or most of our water rescue training, with the Coast Guard, and became Coast Guard certified, to the point where anytime Coast Guard Station Shinnecock small boats went out of service, I got a phone call, and we were actually who New London would call if they had a call that didn't require their 47-foot boat to go in the ocean. So we're working very closely with them, and we hope to continue that program. The program actually grew, and now they're training just about every fire department that has a boat on Long Island the same way, and it's working great. Our fire prevention program over the years has been wonderful. We successfully educated over 1,500 students last year. We re-lettered our trailer to make it a little more kid-friendly. It actually, the kids enjoy it, and from K to 4, we're taking all these kids through it, and the retention is becoming amazing for all of us, to the point where we're getting yelled at by these kids the next year because we didn't say something exactly the right way that we said it last year. So we're finding an amazing retention in the youngsters. This year, I worked very hard with the county in all our town chiefs programs and county chiefs programs, to the point where we normally hold 4 classes on our own that are our own classes with Yaphank, and we go up to Yaphank around 7 times every year. This year we added 4 additional classes. We actually became a regional training center. They've come out and seen our fire department. They've come out and seen what we do in our facilities, and they approached me and asked me if they could put us on the boards as a regional training center. So 4 additional classes are being offered to the entire county, but are being hosted here at our firehouse. So our members have first come, first served to all those, and we'll bring even more people out here. Just recently, we've hosted our first county chiefs. County chiefs are typically to the western departments. There's more of them. They all buddy-buddy up there, but now they want to move east, and the first one they came to was us and asked if they could use our new firehouse to be their meeting place. Unfortunately, we had a little pipe break, but we were still able to accommodate them and had nothing but raves from them. They loved the house and loved that we were able to do it even under the adverse conditions. Last year was a busy year. Last 2 years were a busy year for truck replacement. We actually had 3 of our frontline engines come up for replacement. 7311 was 23 years old and was replaced by a new Pierce that's currently in service. 7312 and 7314, the 2 twin white trucks that we have, were 22 years old and due for replacement. The committee got together and have been working on it, and I just got back from Wisconsin last week. The trucks are slated to be here the last week of February or first week of March, and we plan to have them in service beginning to mid-April. And the trucks are amazing trucks. Apologize. The coming year, I promise I won't ask for any more trucks. But I'm sitting down with my other 2 chiefs and the officers, and we're trying to actually get a detailed plan on what we need, when we need it, so they don't come up. Not that 11 or 12 or 14 surprised us, but we had 3 of them come up at the same time. We're trying to get them spaced out so we have a better 5-10-year plan for these vehicles and for what we need to replace to keep our lines current. Our RIT team has been very active with the neighboring departments. they call us. We have a dedicated truck to RIT, which now, when one of the new engines comes in, is going to be switched over to that engine, and we'll be able to provide even more service to the surrounding neighboring departments.
Chief, would you mind just explaining what the RIT, what that means?
I'm sorry.
Quickly to,
RIT is an acronym for Rapid Intervention Team. It's a higher trained group of guys that we have in the fire department that when other departments have house fires or any fires where their members are working, they will call for a RIT team or a fast truck to stand by at the scene in case one of the members go down. And no operations go on unless one of those teams are here. We do the same thing. We rely on Hampton Bays a lot to be our RIT team, and East Hampton. Bridgehampton doesn't have one at this time, and North Sea is starting to get one on board. So they come to us, we go to them. We've been to East Hampton once this year already. Hampton Bays multiple times already. So other than that, for the coming year, we're just looking to increase our training and become even better than we can be, think we can be.
Yeah, I think part of, in the slideshow that Chief Fowler showed, and, you know, the hours to combine and stand by, I think what's worth noting is that, like the snowstorm, for instance, you know, not, and natural disasters, hurricanes, but that last snowstorm, the firehouse, you know, you have people camping out, you have members both from the ambulance and the fire department camping out in a house overnight, and in the event a call goes through, and actually the fire truck used the brush truck as kind of like the lead vehicle for every emergency call, whether it have been police or ambulance, to get through the thick snow when it was really coming down hard. So there was a lot of hours devoted there, worth mentioning as part of the combined hours. Another thing that you mentioned that I wanted, the Coast Guard, the water rescue. I just wanted to highlight to people that at one point that was, I don't know if the word is quite hackneyed is correct, but, you know, a call would go out and everybody from all the departments with a boat would respond to it, whereas now, as you point, if you're elaborating on it, now it's a little more focused.
Right. In years past, it was that no one, the Coast Guard owns the waters, but outside that, no one really took ownership. And like you said, it would really get to the point where anyone with a boat seemed like they were all showing up, and it was mayhem. So with the Coast Guard training, part of that, everyone, even down to the police departments and the dispatchers, signed MOUs stating that if we get a call, yes, we're obviously going to respond first, but we will call the Coast Guard to let them know what we're doing, to take direction from them. If the Coast Guard gets a call, they have a very detailed list of what we have, what we're capable of, what training we're at, what level of protection, meaning the suits that our guys wear on the boats are, so they know when to call us, when not to call us, and where we can and can't get our boats. And there was a lot of apprehension in the beginning that this meant we weren't going to be called anymore because North Sea has a boat with a pump on it, or these guys are closer. And in actuality, we've been called more because they've been to our firehouse. The Commander White comes out and he knows all of us personally. The first call we got was on him, and his bosun's mate from Virginia were calling me on the cell phone because stuff was going on and people in the Coast Guard station weren't quite acclimated to everything yet. So they use us, and it's not like we get on scene first and they need to have their presence and say we're in charge. If we get there, if they call us and we get there, I'd say more often than not, they've said, okay, you got it, good, we're going back to station, let us know what's going on. They have that much respect and that much trust in the training that we did with them.
Good advancement in that area.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers and what you guys are doing are fantastic, and you go back and look at the number of people that want to participate with you guys. They want to be part of a quality organization, same way with the ambulance. And you go back and I think about, Bob Price and Eric Halsey and yourself, and the efforts that you guys had put in over the years with the juniors program, and really, cultivating young people in this community and encouraging them to get involved on a volunteer basis. And I think that's part of the reason why you guys are having the success that you're having with membership and younger people. And it's other departments out here aren't that lucky. And
The juniors program is still flourishing. They're up to about 30
incredible.
members.
Yeah, it's getting more.
Bob, however, has decided he's stepping down a little bit and letting Eric take the reins, so
yeah.
we're going to do something for Bob.
Oh, good. He deserves it. He's a good man. So,
Yeah, he did. He really ran it well. But a lot of good people have stepped up to fill his
Yeah.
shoes, to continue the juniors program. You know?
but it's a great program. It really gives people, these young people, an opportunity to get involved and understand it, and
Sure. They get it.
it's part of the success. And I think it's rolled over to the ambulance, and this community's benefited by a good group of people getting young people involved. So, again, from this board and from everybody, I thank you guys for the job that you do, and volunteering to protect this community, and the hours that you spend coming out here tonight, and doing all the trainings and responding to the calls. And we had that fire in Watermill the other night, yesterday.
I'm sure everyone's seen the news on that. The two gentlemen are doing a lot better than the news is making it sound. I sat with both of them today.
So that's good. That's good. I tell you what, I actually drove by that right at 3 o'clock.
I got caught in it too.
We had a East End Supervisors and Mayors meeting yesterday in East Hampton, so we were all coming by, and you see the flames just pouring out of that place. And you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
You really did, and I know everybody got there. Chief Fowler got to put you didn't get to put your tent up though, right? So
I tried.
Chief
you
Brenner
didn't have a
made the-
pickup to take it there, right? So okay, yeah, that's a goal for 15, right? So
Yeah, we saw that. You noticed that in the slide.
I know, that's good. That's good. But no, you guys do a fantastic job. We're just very lucky to have all you guys involved, and we like to have a little fun. But we have a lot of respect for what you guys do, and
Thank you.
we're very thankful. So,
Thank you.
all right, good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, chiefs.
Let John Foster come on up here. Yeah. Okay, guys. All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good evening. Middle name's Trouble. Thank you for the invite again for the yearly. I'll start. I gave you all a copy, so I'll just start in. This is a report for year 2014 and start of year 2015. So to say the past year, 2014, was very busy would be an understatement. The number of people that want to live on the east end of Long Island, in our case, Village of Southampton, has put pressures and demands on the village government as well as existing village residents. The building department has maintained a workforce of 6 employees for the past few years to handle reviews for ongoing activity, potential future activity on the 3,542 plus or minus taxable properties in the village of Southampton. The many activities involve residential and commercial construction, real estate sales, coastal erosion, wetland reviews of properties to protect the environment, and safety of properties and life safety. The above mentioned involves the use of much time by the office staff to receive and process initial permit submittals and questions and answers. Files are then created for the future building permits and/or architectural and historic board, zoning board, or planning board review process. The review process creates large amounts of paperwork, continued meeting setups, continued review time by board members of our planning commission, mayor, board of trustees. Oh, that's it. I skipped. Of the village attorneys, their times and effort is very much appreciated by our office and the mayor and village board of trustees. From the start of the permit process, concerns of the neighbors become developed from official notifications sent to neighbors, and questions, complaints, and answers are addressed by the building department office staff. The questions, complaints, and concerns come in many forms. telephone, email, and in person to the building department from neighbors, attorneys, design professionals, contractors, government agencies, and real estate brokers. In reference to a very busy year, I have reference of fees from 2013 and 2014. And the next two paragraphs, they're reflected on the back two sheets. 2013, the permit totals and miscellaneous fees was $1,404,612. And then last year, it was $2,638,910. And again, as I always say, Steve Funt's the magician on the figures, so if there's any discrepancy, he'll tell you.
What the bottom line you wanted to be, right? So.
Yeah, that's right. So we did well on fees to, hopefully it's helped the village to get where it needs to go in the future. Okay. All right, we are excited as of this time next week, the building department will be located here in Village Hall on the second floor. Thank you to the building department trustee, Mr. Michael Irving, the mayor and trustees, all you guys, village administrator, Steve, and John Cause and his building maintenance department for their support, coordination, and hard work in getting us into our new office and work area. So the building department will no longer be located at 71 Hill Street. We will be here at 23 Main Street with the village. We just think that that'll be a total better world deal for the public as well as us. And when we're bringing our files for meetings, we're not carting them from one building to the next building. We have an elevator, we have everything to help us get in and out of here and get the job done better. So thanks again. That's very good. Right now, as all you aware, there is a construction moratorium on construction involved in FEMA zone. There is gray areas involved in the building department interpretation of the height of structures in FEMA zones. A lot of that falls with me. The gray areas of the code does not help us in the building department. People think it might be a good deal, but it's not, because we'd rather have something black or white so we can give answers, we can resolve things and just move on, and that's where these gray areas have always been a problem in zoning codes and when you have different agencies, federal, state, and local, a lot of times it's just going to clash and it doesn't work. So again, gray areas of the code does not help us in the building department or the neighbors that may have complaints and concerns, and we look forward to a resolution with the help of our planning commission, mayor and board of trustees, village attorney, and consulting engineers. At the building department, we will continue to strive, address residents' concerns applicable to our building and zoning codes to man life safety issues and protect the established character and the social and economic well-being of both private and public property. And that's, hopefully we can do that better. And thanks to Brenda for the minutes and the notes, and for Charlie Styler for his TV productions. I think I got everybody. And the chief. And the press. Okay.
No, I mean, it's,
Questions?
you know, I mean, I just think that, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. In 2013, we had 345 building permits, and then, you know, a year later, it's 383,
Yeah.
and a $1.2 million difference, and the increase in the building permits, and that's just it's incredible strain on you and the department, and it's very demanding, and the numbers are astronomical. Some of these numbers that the properties being sold for, and the numbers they're investing in these properties, just blow my mind. And I feel fortunate that we're actually living in a place where people actually want to be, and you know, hiring local people, and it's generates, for every dollar they spend, you know, it's going to come back fivefold in the community like this. So, but with that are a lot of challenges and a lot of demands, and it's hard. It's hard work that you're doing.
What can be tough, and I have a good staff to help back it up. Even Jackie's got on fast and helping Diane well, and one person come and ask about a fence, and the next person has all these complicated zoning questions, so we're always shifting gears, downshifting, upshifting from one subject to the next, and at the end of some days, it just wears you down to where you had it. It's like, wow. So,
Well, I know it's Michael, did you want to?
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thing I'd like to say is, and I think you've been with the village since 1989,
yeah.
John really is on the front line of this huge building spur that we have going on right now. And he gets all sorts of flack, and people do take shots at him. But I really got to say, I think the village on a whole should thank you for all your efforts and all the years that you put in. And it's really, it's appreciated. And unfortunately, I think your position is sort of a thankless position, but believe me, we understand it, and thank you for all your efforts.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well said.
Somebody's got to do it.
Mark, one question. When you made your presentation last year, as I recall, you mentioned something that was interesting to me, and that is that there were something like 25 teardowns that year, and I think the prior year there were 23 teardowns. Do you have any idea off the top of your head?
I think it's 30-something this year. And we got more coming on board that we know that aren't in front of us right now. Halsey Street's going to have 2 more. And Halsey Street has 3 under construction now, and 3, 4.
I think there were 3 last month.
Yeah, yeah. My street, Corrigan Street, that's been located now by the trades, so we've got 3.
Getting your
there
share
now.
of the action, aren't you?
Yeah, so
You
it's
don't feel bad?
It's going all the way. And then Old Town Crossing, where Tom Burke is, the same guy bought 3 properties, and 2 of them are in for demo, and the other one they're working on, I think. So right, one side by side, all 3 of them. So that's going to create havoc in that neighborhood.
They're planning smaller homes, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Jay's down the other end, the east end of that street.
That's
So
a
you know,
that's a
here we
mistake.
go. It's not FEMA, but
And John, this is all your fault.
I know. There's a sign on my back somewhere.
So predominantly, any new, nobody's, or rarely, do you see people just building or redoing what's there? It's become more economical, I guess, to just tear down and start
Yeah,
anew? Is that
Yeah,
really?
sure. Plus, again, I've said for a number of years, like my father's a partner in Hildress, and he said way back in the 70s that the carpet mills, the furniture designers are making things that don't fit the 1950s, early 60s houses anymore. And plus, on top of that, people come out here and you know, it's like, this is a great area. I want more of this light that the artists love out here. I want more light in here, so they want bigger windows, more open spaces. And again, you know, the old, you know, I have a 50s ranch, and the, you know, one bedroom's like it's a walk-in closet, or smaller than walk-in closets I see every day in these houses. So it's just it's a different lifestyle to be a faster pace, I guess, and enjoy everything with technology that you couldn't do in the old days. So
One more question.
Sure.
If off the top of your head, if you take a stab at it, what percentage of the homes that get built in the village do you think are built by spec builders?
80, 85.
Yeah, I would guess
I
that.
think it's that high.
Spec Hampton.
Yeah, Southampton. And my wife and I, we get a little upset. We like to go out and eat dinner, and this time of year, it's become like Nantucket. I said, well, there's an easy explanation I see is you take the area I'm in, Corrigan Street, north of the highway. That was like a lot of the worker force in the old days. They're gone. And so be it. It's New Yorkers or whoever come in here that love this place. They tear down the ones on Halsey Street, wherever they are, build a new house, bigger, meets what they want, and then during the winter, they're gone. So the restaurants are hurt. They can't afford to stay open during the winter around here. And I think that's what's really happening here. It's taken a lot of the customers away on that.
That's a good
Are those
point.
two
So
new homes that are
someone-
going up right now on Moses Lane, you know, just in 150 yards from the Hill Street, are they spec houses?
That
No.
No?
They're not. The one on the corner is not, because the owners come out. I don't know who they are, but they come out every Sunday and they take pictures of the house and the progress. I see them all the time. And
I think-
but I'm not sure about the other one.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
A larger one.
Everything that I've read, though, is this is not just our community.
Right.
What's
no,
happening
it's-
all over the country is that the baby boomers, which have now reached retirement age, they're looking to, and I know this sounds funny, downsize, and although we're seeing bigger houses built, you know, at one point, $5 million bought you an awful lot in the estate area. Now that's
Sure.
20 million. And so they're saying, okay, I'm gonna have a nice house for 5 million on a small lot, so I don't have a lot of maintenance, lawn maintenance, you know, care of a huge estate. And that's why you're seeing all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really second home. I mean, I live probably in one of the last blue-collar neighborhoods in
Yeah.
the village,
Yeah.
and my neighborhood is becoming dark. Everyone around me, more or less, is second home now, down my street, and, you know, and those that are left are older. I mean, they're not going to be there that much longer, and then what will happen? Those houses will be purchased by somebody, and that will be redeveloped. It's just what's happening. It's heartbreaking because you're right. We're not really we're not the year-round community that we used to be. We really are seasonal. And what disturbs me in many ways is that, you know, the prices keep going up, 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 up. And before you know it, you're not going to have a house in the village for less than $2 million. What local person can afford that? That's the problem. I mean, and what local kid wants to live here and, you know, volunteer in our ambulance or our fire department can afford to live here?
Yeah, no, I know.
And that is disturbing. But I mean, it's happening all over the. I'm just amazed by the amount of money.
It's
that people
happening
have.
in East Hampton, it's happening in West Hampton, and it's happening in Quogue. And, I mean, Hampton Bays is seeing
Yeah.
the same thing along their waterfronts and stuff, and
And George Submergent, he knew how to transition somebody from the state area or with a bigger house into, Mr. Hatcher can verify, the nice places behind the library. They have a great feel, and they give you that comfort that you had in your bigger house. I think he did a great job on those units.
he did.
So, I mean.
But I mean, when you think about, like, for instance, Watchtower in Sag Harbor, those units are 2 tiny bedrooms and a living room with a kitchen all in one room. They're $4 million. You know, it's mind-boggling to
Yeah.
me. And people are buying those. I mean, people from all over the world are buying those, and just to have it there. So,
It's a popular place.
Wow. I didn't know the numbers they were trading at there, so.
$4 million for those?
Wow. Yeah, well, you know, again, we greatly appreciate you and your department and the job that you do. And, you know, as Michael said, you were in front of the line, in the line of fire, you know? And people take shots at you. And, you know, I think you handle yourself with a lot of dignity and grace. And we like to joke around and have a good time and stuff like that.
I get in trouble for that at
It's
times.
okay.
Dignity and grace.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a little overboard. I think a little much.
It was a reach.
Stretch, right?
It's okay. It's okay. Hey, look, I know what he wants to say, and I know what he says. So, yeah, you know, it's no. Thank you, John, for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, Chief, you want to come on up? Thanks.
Boom, boom.
I used to be the guy that did the slideshow, but
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I know.
not doing that
Pass it
anymore.
on- Pass it on to the next generation.
Well, after we had it where it didn't work, we were like, all right, we're not doing that anymore. You know, try to not make the same mistake twice.
That's right.
For those of you that don't, I mean, you all know me, but for those watching that don't know me, I'm Tom Cummings. I've been the chief for 4 years now. I've been with the department for 28 years. And we had a pretty good year in the police department. You know, we pretty much hit all our goals, which is the first time we've done that since I've been chief. And I really think we really had a very busy year, and the guys and girls that work for me did such a good job. It's really remarkable how many things happened and how well it went, how smoothly it went. And doesn't seem like it's necessarily going to go that way while you're doing it, but very good police officers and dispatchers. So it seems to have, we've avoided, disaster.
Yeah.
And so, I have some numbers, but numbers really don't tell the story, but I'll go through them
They're all in
quick.
your board presentation tabs that he's reading from.
Basically, we had a few more accidents, but as you all recall, this was a madhouse this summer, and that's not really surprising, even though we did quite a bit more traffic enforcement, which was one of our goals. One of our goals was to do 20% more traffic enforcement. We did 21. We wrote 21% more uniform traffic tickets. We went up over 700. We wrote over 700 more tickets. And in a small village, that's a lot of tickets to increase by. And the guys stopped, basically almost 600 more cars to do that. So it wasn't where they wrote more tickets to the same number of people. They stopped a lot more people for doing things. I was riding with the lieutenant going somewhere on Nugent Street, and a woman went to pass us on the right, and Lieutenant hit the siren, and she flipped us the bird. So, this is the kind of stuff we were dealing with this summer, it's kind of, and we were in uniform. It wasn't like we were in shorts and T-shirts, so, obviously she got pulled over.
Obviously. What are you getting for a bird?
She got one because we were running late to go somewhere. Otherwise, she might have got a few more.
Yeah, there's an extra spot on a ticket for that one.
Our impounds were down slightly, which is good. That's something we want to see, because most of our impounds are for people that are unlicensed and have a conviction for already driving without a license. And obviously, untrained drivers are a problem, no matter where they are, all over the country. This type of initiative was started out in the Southwest probably 10 years ago, because they had so many accidents that were caused by unlicensed drivers. So the fact that we didn't go down much, but we went down, which is a good thing. DWI arrests were about the same, but we participate in a countywide DWI task force, and so I think the first year we did the DWI task force, we had like 100 DWI arrests, and I think people have kind of caught on that. We're out there, and we're going to be out there. And we actually, the last 2 years, but particularly this year, added, it kind of doesn't apply to us in the village here, but we chip in manpower to do boating while intoxicated, and they did quite a number of them. One of our guys, Sergeant Dorchek, is trained to crew. The East End got a grant for a 47-foot boat. That's the only boat that's kind of counterterrorism equipped for, chemical, nuclear, biological, and radiological accidents. We have the only boat east of the city out here. And you have to have special training to operate it. He's one of the operators of that boat. We're going to have another officer who's going to go to that school in April. So, we participate. Other departments give more resources because they use the boat more, but, we chip in and do what we have to so that when we need something, we can ask for resources back.
I would say, people don't realize the importance of that, but as the crow flies, about 15 miles from here is Millstone Power Plant,
right,
and then also the sub base at New London, Connecticut.
Right, and the boat is usually in East Hampton, so it could get out and go do what it has to do pretty quickly. Plus, it has a big water cannons on it, so it could be used for firefighting on boats as well. So, we have plenty of boat traffic just off of the beach here. Everybody pulls to the beach in the morning, you see plenty of boats out there. And although it's a Coast Guard thing, we could help them. To build on what the chief of the fire department said about the Coast Guard stuff, we we have a Suffolk Chiefs Association and an East End Chiefs Association. And the East End Chiefs either a lot of the departments have boats or they dispatch like we do. And we've worked really closely with the Coast Guard. In fact, we had one of our meetings at the Coast Guard station. And the reason like we're heavily involved is because we dispatch a bunch of the fire departments that have boats. So our dispatchers really had to be up to speed on when to call the Coast Guard, when to call the fire departments. Really, a lot of our sergeants had to know because they had to listen and kind of make decisions on what resources the dispatchers would ask for. And it's one of those things that we've cooperated really well together with the Coast Guard and the fire departments.
Because like when Chief Kim said, there was some apprehension in the beginning. I remember being in the office there, and that was rolled out by the Coast Guard. And everybody's like, oh, but it actually ended up, obviously, everybody's got the growing pains out of the way, and it's worked very well.
Well, the Coast Guard came to do every police department and dispatch center with a 4-hour training, and they came to us and spent about a half hour, and I was like, you guys know what you're doing already. So we'll just, answer questions and cover the few odds and ends that maybe you don't do regularly that we want. So, a 4-hour thing they covered in a half an hour with us. So, it's good.
It's good.
Very good. In terms of arrests, we pretty much were on track. We did 504 last year, 509 this past year. So, but 500 arrests for a department that for the most of the year we had 25 police officers is a lot of work. And, and we had 200 of those arrests, 210 were bad enough where we had to keep someone and lodge them and not release them on bail. So, about 40%.
Lodge.
Did you have to spend a night? And they picked you up?
I was lodged. That's
Okay,
why
it
we
was
coined the
lodged.
phrase when I was there, because I was lodged. Not held.
R-rated cases, which is a medical emergency call for the police department, we went down quite a bit, and I think that's a tribute. We went down almost 40%, which I think is a real indicator that the ambulances has really gone, really, they're a professional group, even though they're volunteers, because, we used to go to things that the ambulance should have been going to, but they couldn't crew up in time, so we would go. And now these guys are just doing so well that there's some calls we just don't have to go to. So
We also have the paid responders 24 hours a day, which, I never even thought of the domino impact of that, is where we're paying these guys on a part-time basis to do that, and now the police officers don't have to leave patrol
Or incur overtime.
and incur overtime it never crossed my mind to even think of it that way.
Yeah, good point. Because before they went 24/7, before we even had them, because that's one thing. Part of the quick response again is, and if it isn't one of the
I
paid days,
remember
the
when I was
officers right
when I
there,
was a
they're all
young
there for it.
cop, you might have like one guy from the ambulance, 2 people, and then like we would carry the head of the stretcher, or
All right.
we pretty much, sometimes we'd actually have to drive the ambulance for those guys and have your partner pick you up at the hospital and bring you back to your police car. And, we don't ever have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We have it easy now. We actually focus in the police department. Our medical training used to just be general, like the stuff that an ambulance guy, now we're doing, medicine that's more, I hate to use the word combat medicine, like, we got hurt fighting with somebody or in a car accident, like how to treat ourselves and treat like the other cop, because it might not be safe for the ambulance to come yet. That's the stuff we're focusing on. We don't have to focus on, the general medical stuff that those guys do. So it helps us streamline our training.
Well, that's a great number to see right there. 30% reduction.
Yep, and disturbances went down 20% and over 20%, which is great. It means a better quality of life for people.
Yeah, my wife's not as mad at me anymore. So.
Your phone's not ringing at
She didn't want you lodged.
1
She's
o'clock in the
not
morning.
mad at John either. So.
And one of our goals was to kind of increase our village code compliance and kind of just a disorder that isn't really criminal, just impacts people in their neighborhoods. And our village our complaints went down 11%, and our enforcement of the village code and the parking tickets went up 27%. So we kind of hit that that was, we didn't set a number on what we were trying to, we just wanted to make it better. And
Right.
I think, depends on who you talk to. If you're in a neighborhood where we still haven't made a big impact, you don't think we did so much. But if you're in a neighborhood where we did do some good work, then I'm sure you're happier.
But what I'd have to say is that, the number of calls that I received to my office, and Brent, I think you agree with me, is that it was reduced this past year over what it was the year before, the complaints that came in. And I think it's because of, building inspector and you and code enforcement and the fire marshal going out to each one of these institutions and having conversations with the owner or operators before the season starts. And I think we've seen a lot of
Yeah, we're trying to be
cooperation.
preemptive, yeah.
Very proactive, and I think that's what's happened over the last couple of years, and it's helped.
And to get to our dispatch center, I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. We could, in theory, we're down 3, but, practically we're down 1 dispatcher because, our optimum staffing would be 3 more, but with the tax cap, I don't think there's going to be many municipalities that are going to get to optimum staffing in anything anymore, But they basically picked up the phone, 39,000 times. And 3,000 911 calls, 30,000 calls that came through the regular phone line, 6,000 business calls, and a lot of volume for 10 people, And, those aren't necessarily, some of those are easy phone calls, quickies, and some of them are complicated and, difficult phone calls,
Right.
And when you really look at it, like yesterday's, this next number is total dispatch calls. That's the police department, the fire departments. We have our own fire department, Bridgehampton and North Sea, plus we have, our ambulance. And like that explosion yesterday, our dispatchers handled that. And there was multiple fire departments, multiple ambulances. We had to arrange for the, PSE&G and Keyspan. And we coordinated with the town police because they were the police department that was dealing with it. And, I was in the radio room watching these guys work and, unbelievable, the coordination. And that's one call. And the amount of work that those guys who handled that call had to do. So I don't really think just that. Still a big number, almost 18,000 calls that they dispatched. But it's not just, hey, go here.
Right.
And it's over, Most of the time, it's not just that. Sometimes, but generally not. And, I think the fire chief actually sold himself short in our records in the police department. We have them going on almost 1,000 calls, not 600. So, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't including his own job as a chief, because I think the chiefs probably go about 300 times, and he might have forgot to include himself.
Yeah.
And every department went up. We went up 3% in our calls, and our fire department went up 18%. The ambulance went up 14%. Bridgehampton went up 5%. North Sea went up 5%. So everybody's busier. And, that impacts our dispatchers. Plus, as we've been talking about, we dealt with the Coast Guard,
That's funny. When you say PD, SFD, SVVA, every one of those across the board, you dispatch for it in that one call yesterday, because all those departments were
present, and they were on mutual aid or they were backing up. Yeah.
Every one of those were. That one room was in communication with every one of those departments yesterday.
Yeah, if you come by our headquarters and you look at our dispatchers, each dispatcher has a station, and he's got four screens, plus a phone, and and they're, there's an old drawing that one of our retired guys did of a dispatcher with 8 arms. And it's even more applicable now than it was when I was a young cop, where you basically had the fire department microphone, the police department microphone, and the ambulance microphone, and one telephone and a typewriter. A little more complicated now. Our goals last year were to increase our village code compliance, and parking, which I think I can say we did that. Beach patrol was tough for us this year. Normally I have 2 people that alternate with each other on a schedule, and they focus on the beach, and that's their job. And that way they get really up to speed on all the little subtle nuances of what's going on the beach. And just because of staffing, I couldn't do that this year. I had to have guys volunteer to do that, either while they were on their regular patrol shifts or on overtime, and it didn't go as smoothly as it might have, but I was expecting a lot more problems, and the guys really did a good job. I think, we've that was one of the things when I first became chief that I thought we needed to do a better job at, and I think, this year I think we should be able to get back to the 2 police officers permanently assigned for the summer, and, we should be doing all right with that. I mean, because Smith's Point, last year was a very tough year because Smith's Point was closed, so it was just overwhelming numbers of people trying to get into the county park and cheat over into the village. And the cops and the code enforcement people that worked on that really, I mean, I know you had a hard time.
Yeah.
It was just the lined up cars.
Right.
County Park would be closed by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was a tough year. And I think, considering, I think the guys did a pretty decent job with it. We've done, the mayor and I have talked about the training and what, we kind of more specifically towards like active shooter type stuff, just kind of the contemporary issues that we're all seeing in the news that we would see in the village we're focusing on. And we've done quite a bit of training. We're going to keep that up. Selective enforcement is an acronym for us writing tickets. Because basically what you do is you look at where your traffic violations are causing problems for you, whether they're accidents or just, complicating the traffic flow and everything, and that's where we focus. And, obviously we went up by 21%. So we worked hard on that this year. The accidents didn't go down as much as we would like, but, if you really look at it, we have 70 miles of roads in the village, and only 3 miles of them are in the business district, but we get like 30+% of our accidents in the business district. So there's only so much enforcement you can do. If a guy backs into another car who's waiting for the parking spot, that's an accident, but traffic enforcement isn't going to change that, So, I'd like to do better on the accidents, but at some point you're not going to conquer that, And achieved 29 officers. Well, the 2 guys that you saw sworn in tonight got us to 29. So, I mean, we're going to go back down because I have a guy waiting to be retired. But, if we hire another guy, he'll just be a replacement. I think 29 is a pretty good number for us. We're pretty good at 29. I mean, it would be nice to have 1 or 2 more, but we can we can do a lot at 29. Our goals for this year is to continue beach patrol. I've already talked about that. The training I've already talked about. One of the things the mayor and I have talked about is, although we have a great relationship with the fire department and the ambulance, we don't really plan together. So I think this year, and I've talked to the fire chief and the ambulance chief briefly, but we're going to get together more and coordinate what we're doing more. Not that, we had a bomb threat a couple weeks ago, and everybody did a great job, but the communications could have been better between the tops, like me and the fire chief and the ambulance chief. We just, we're focused on what we're doing. They're focused on what those guys are doing, and we're just not really talking to each other at the same time, and we'd have to do a better job at that. And so that's one of our goals. We want to do, I've talked to the mayor about this too, we want to do a school resource officer program. And, we've been absent in the schools pretty much since the DARE program ended around almost 10 years ago. And it's time to get back into the schools. And, one of the impacts that I've seen is that, we try to hire people that grew up here and went to our schools, and we're not really getting them on the list. And maybe that's because the kids at the school aren't seeing a police officer from the village who they might, when they're 10 or 12 years old or whatever, and forming what do I want to do when I become an adult. Well, they're not seeing us. So maybe we're not occurring I could be a village police officer. So, and on top of that, you form relationships with the people and the kids. And, we may be able to head off some problems before they even get started. So, that's not, we used to do it as a full-time thing. I don't see it as that, like the staffing we're at, I don't see it that way. It's just going to be part of the officers that get trained, their normal day. It's going to be to go to the school and, when I was a young cop, I'd have to patrol a particular neighborhood. Well, the schools are going to be a neighborhood for that cop, and that cop's going to go into the school. So, you know, and go to the football games, basketball games, other events, and just become, you know, have the police department be part of that part of the community. And I think it'll work. I think it'll be good. And we're gonna, you know, it's new, so we'll have to make adjustments as we're going, I'm sure, but I think it's gonna be obviously better than nothing. You know, we gotta start.
Yep.
And, you know, we have, you know, the building is 13 years old now, and, you know, we just have some things that are just wearing out, like the antennas on the roof are kind of rusting off the roof, and we're in the process of replacing them, and we just have to make sure that we keep things functioning and not neglect them, and, you know, we just have, you know, we have a couple of projects we have to do this year, nothing dramatic, but I don't want to neglect them, so we're going to get those things done this year. And have just another good, you know, this was a pretty high-performing year for the guys in the department. And I want to continue with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we got a great force there. We got good morale over in that department, some of the best morale I've seen in a long time. And one of the things, we were at the supervisors and mayor's meeting yesterday, and East Hampton Town announced that they're doing a public hearing to limit helicopter activity, and basically 0 helicopter activity at the East Hampton Airport from the middle of May
So we're going to get it.
until October. And then, so I asked them what the volume was. It's 8,000 landings in that 6-month time frame.
What do we have? How many do we have?
1,000.
About
For the
1,000.
year.
We get 1,000 a year, and then at
Right.
what time frame? 3 months,
Yeah.
they get 8,000?
Well, don't
You get
forget,
40,000 flights a year in and out of that airport.
yeah,
But
they're
it's
an
mostly
airport.
Thursdays
We're
and
a,
Fridays.
Right.
Right.
It's Sundays and
You had
Mondays.
400 just on Memorial Day weekend alone.
Yeah. So, you know, we're going to need to, I don't know, they start public hearings on this in March, their first meeting in March. Basically, everybody, all the neighbors are all supporting the whole thing. People on the North Fork are very excited about it. Yeah, so it's going to have an impact on us, and I think we need to pull the East End Helicopter Association, Chief, you, and code enforcement. We just need to sit down with these guys and
Yeah.
because I tell you what, you know, even if we get 20% of that traffic, you know, it's not good for us.
Right. We actually have we're interviewing another ordinance inspector candidate tomorrow,
Okay.
and we'll see where we are with that. And we're looking to, obviously, we used to, at one point, had 4 ordinance inspectors, and now we're down to 1, so we got to at least get back to 2.
Yeah.
And that'll make, you know, Angel does a great job, but if we have another person who works that hard, we'll have a big impact.
You know, that's why the ordinance inspector and the beach patrols are going to be important, because I don't even know if Smith Point will be even open again this year.
Right.
And so you can only imagine Meadow Lane, the volume of traffic of people going into the county park, and then on top of it, the increased traffic from the helicopters.
Right.
My stomach almost exploded yesterday when I, you know, heard those numbers and what they were talking about doing in East Hampton. So it's
It's tough.
It's not, yeah. So it's gonna have a negative impact on us. So
we'll be back to hovering.
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we'll be back to hovering, and then we're going to be back to the people upset over the fact that they're not hovering over the water, or hovering over
even
their
if they
houses.
just
Deviating
landed.
out of that flight plan.
I know.
You know, that flight plan, Knockwood, has been working so well the
I
last
know.
3 years.
Yeah.
but
I mean, if you really, like you said, just using a number that you're saying, if we pick that up, just even if they're not hovering, that's that many more helicopters coming down
Yeah.
and landing, and, you know, they're going to sit there for a minute or 2 at the very least while they're either loading or unloading, and, you know.
Well, when they come in there, they create quite a disturbance. I
They
mean,
do.
they come in over Shinnecock, and
Yep.
next thing you know, every bird in the world is gone, and you can see the sand flying as they're coming in.
Absolutely. It'll be an issue.
It's tough. Right?
That it is. So it's that's a challenge we found out about yesterday. So
It's gonna be raining.
just when you thought it was going to be easy, summer.
I never
there,
think
Chief,
it's
right?
going to be easy. It's kind of like when you're juggling a chainsaw and a bowling pin and a meat cleaver. Doesn't really bother you unless somebody throws you something else to
Yeah,
juggle.
that's right. That's right.
You get used to it, you know?
That's true. Well, we appreciate the job that you're doing, and you know, lucky to have you there, and the department's doing a great job. So I'm very proud of the job these guys are doing. So,
Well, thank you.
anybody have any
Thank
other
you for the
questions for the
support.
chief there? And
It's been good.
all right.
No, numbers good, department's
Get off
good.
pretty
Two
easy.
good, well, just one thing with the SRO, the school resource officer program, I
Yeah.
think that's a good, I know we have some neighboring departments that utilize that, so that'll be a nice thing to get going and get
Yeah, I
some
mean,
exposure in the schools, for many reasons, for, you know,
right.
what you were
and,
saying,
you
but
know,
also it's nice to have that in the event something goes wrong, there's somebody right there.
I remember like when Herm Lamison did it and Marla Donovan did
Mhm.
it. I mean, all those kids that had relationships with them. And now we haven't had anybody since 2006, since Marla retired. So,
No, that's good,
you know, I think it's time to get back to that.
good stuff.
Thanks, chief.
Thanks, chief.
All right. So we got the ambulance, building inspector, fire department, justice department. She's not here, so we'll get into the DPW stuff here. So, Bill, you want to jump on?
Mark was good enough to call me 2 days ago to tell me that he'd like me to make some comments on the work of the highway department. And I was amused to hear the chief bring up the fact that we do have 70 miles of roads in the village, and of course the work that our highway department does isn't glamorous, and some of our players. I just signed a bill tonight, you know, for our monthly mechanism that we have in the various vehicles where we can track where everybody's going and so on, and I think that idea was a good one and has helped. But in any event, when you came in here tonight, you saw our latest problem with this snowstorm, and I was told by somebody who I think wasn't just trying to inflate our egos that they felt that the village of Southampton had performed about as well as anybody in the East End with dealing with the major snowstorm that we recently endured and continues to plague us, and it just doesn't go away. There are various other things that throughout the year, Steve, I wish I'd thought to call you today, but I'd love to know, how much do we pay Stehecki just for dumping leaves in the course of a season?
Usually 5 was 8,000, 7 or 8,000 this year.
Any idea? Of course, we never make any effort to count the leaves, you know, so I can't tell you how many we had this year versus the year before. But
A lot of truckloads.
The one thing that I do see with the spec builders, they often cut down trees that drop leaves and replace everything with very tall evergreens that hide the damage that they're doing to the community. And so maybe our leaf problems won't be quite as big over the years. But in any event, some of the things that were done this year, as you know, we paved the rest of Old Town Road and connected it up with Gin Lane, which was in really very poor shape, I thought, and paved Gin Lane all the way to South Main Street. Halsey Neck Lane in full, beautiful job there too. The Hillcrest area was really, it may go back into last year, but that was a really fine project that John and Steve and everybody paved those roads, which were sorely in need of it. One of the other projects this year that they repaired something like 2,000 feet of sidewalk on Little Plains Road. The drainage issues that the village has are substantial. Some of them have on Lee Avenue. They've solved a serious problem, but we've got serious problems on Hill Street, and then all along the ocean front, you know, Gin Lane and Meadow Lane and so on. There's and I don't know what you can do short of raising the street 2 or 3 feet, which would cost you a major fortune. So flooding is just going to be a problem that we have. The paving of North Sea Road and certainly improved out by the garden center and so on, that whole area, and in front of the Hillcrest area. That was a major enterprise. The diagonal parking on Hampton Road was, it's one of these things that when Citarella came, it just kind of forced our hand, I think, to try and deal with the additional parking pressure put on the village district. And I know we get complaints about the diagonal parking being a bit of a problem child too, people backing out into a very busy street and so on. And we also did it in front of Town Hall. And we've gotten several letters asking us not to do it, but I think it's just a compromise that was made to try and deal with the serious parking problems that we do have. And frankly, I think it's the lesser of the evils, and that it was a good decision that was made. Certain Safe Street efforts, that some of the traffic signals on North Sea Road and so on have been improved, and there are new signals coming in the Hillcrest and North Sea Road, the North Sea Road in the Hillcrest area. Recently, something that the Highway Department wasn't really responsible for, but they told me to tell people lest they be concerned. A new gas main has been put through the whole Somerset Road area, and of course they trench the road and then they fill in the 2-foot wide trench, but it doesn't look very nice. But I think, Steve, that you are in receipt of monies from the gas company that will pay for the repaving of all those roads that were torn up, so that will work out well once spring comes back. And other than that, I don't think we have quite this esprit de corps that you have in your volunteer ambulance department and the volunteer fire department and so on. Maybe that's what happens when you pay people. They don't have quite the same source of elan that our volunteers have. But and as I say, it'll always be a problem. 70 miles of roads and the traffic problems that we have, and just painting the roads and keeping them presentable. And I've often thought that Hill Street itself needs some repaving, but there's a point at which the finances we just do it a step at a time and do what we can. And I think that pretty much sums up. It's just the other thing that I was kind of amused at last summer. One day I was signing a bill for a bunch of receptacles for refuse down at Kreider, and was astonished at the cost of the receptacles. And I had just received a letter from somebody who sent me big photographs of the 5 or 6 receptacles that had been in place there, and our citizens and maybe just people passing through are very much in the habit of taking their garbage and just finding these places where we've got 5 or 6 or 7 receptacles, and it was astonishing. This photograph was really wretched. And the new pails, now the men swear they go there in the morning and they go there in the afternoon, but it was the picture told 1,000 words. So we're just always going to have problems with litter and people taking advantage of our efforts. But these new pails, as expensive as they were, frankly, you couldn't get the lids off them and so on, and you had to know how to do it. And I think they were, but I refuse to disclose what we paid for those receptacles. And other than that, I guess it's
Well,
just...
they could foil for that bill.
Yeah, they'll be foiled in their attempts. Anyhow, other than that, and there's 100 other problems that we face. That this is just sort of like doing the dishes, cooking meals, and the laundry and so on. It's not the glamour part of, if there is a glamour part of being in the village, that's not it. Anyhow, if you have any special requests, I'd be glad to ask you to save them for another day.
No, I think they did, in reference to the storm, with all the standbys and sleepover, all the volunteers.
Yeah.
But before they even hit where they did, it was the DPW that was out there on that first, or before the first snowflake,
Yeah.
and
No,
treating the roads, plowing continuously every hour till the storm was done. And that's no small feat when you don't have 40 guys, 50, 100 on the crew. And there's a
Yeah.
limited number that they have to rotate. So they have a smaller pool to work with. They did a hell of a job, and they
Yeah.
continue. So,
Thank
you're right,
you.
not the glamour part of it, but, it made it possible for all these guys, first responders, to do their job. And they did it very well, I thought.
Stop there. Those kind words were very nice.
Bill? Nancy?
Okay, so I handle the Parks Department, and the Parks Department, everyone just thinks, well, gee, what do they do during the winter? Because the parks, they can't be out there mowing lawns, but they do a lot during the winter. And, they too plow snow, and they have their areas that they have to cover, like the parking lots, the emergency areas such as the police station, firehouse, ambulance, barn, Flying Point Park, the entire business district, sidewalks, and all school crosswalks. So they're out there making sure that that's all clear and that the parking lots are opened up for people to go in and out of. And then they're salting and sanding and putting ice melt where it's needed. And then after the storms, they have to power wash all the vehicles to make sure that they're all cleaned off from all of that stuff. And then when they're not doing all of that, they're busy building flower boxes that go out throughout the village. We use them over and over again, but every now and then we need to replace them. And then they're painting them with, every year they get painted with a coat of primer and 2 coats of paint. And they maintain over 100 boxes every year. When the ground thaws, they get ready to handle all the ball fields. So we have 1 softball field and 3 baseball fields and 2 soccer fields. It's over at the Downs Family Park. And they are cleaning the bathrooms and cleaning garbage at all the parks. They're going through the business district, blowing all the leaves and picking up the garbage and debris that's there. During the season, they're washing down the streets as well as watering all the flower boxes, flower beds, and newly planted trees. They plant in the fall from September to January about 100 trees, so there's more leaves. But our village is known for its trees and it's beautiful, and I don't think we'd have it any other way. When they're finished with the Flying Point Park, they go and do an organic program. All of the I don't know what the word for it is, all of the products that they use, that's what I want to say, the products that they use in all of our parks are organic. So they go over and they start a process of working on the organic programs at Agawam Park, the Monument, Southampton Center, the police station, Historical Museum, and the new dog park. They were involved in helping in getting the dog park open last year. They do aerifying and overseeding and top dressing and fertilizing. They work on the fountains that are in Agawam Park and at the Southampton Center, which this year had custom covers made for it. And then they get into mowing the lawns and putting in new benches and tree plaques in designated areas. They maintain the bubbler system in Lake Agawam. There's 42 areas of responsibility that they handle, and they also handle the window boxes at the Chamber, the flower beds at the Chamber, Railroad Plaza, planters at Cooper's Beach, the planters along Windmill Lane, the planters along the side of Village Hall, and 2 beds on the Monument. So they're kept pretty busy. They take the parks and they get them all ready for the special events that are there, and then they go in and clean up after all the special events. And then we get, after the season, and they're very busy during the season, then they have clean up in the fall of all the leaves, and then they work with the Christmas committee decorating the community. And then in November, when they're finished up mowing and putting away all the machinery, and they get ready for the Parade of Lights and working with the Christmas committee, as I said before. This year they're looking forward to the new boardwalk at Agawam Park and also finishing up at the dog park because there's more things to be happening over there. So they're kept very busy, and it's a cycle. They go through the year doing everything that they do, and then they start all over again. So no mention of special goals, because I think they're kept so busy with everything that they're doing. They have their work cut out for them.
Well, we just keep adding more to them.
I know,
so.
we do. We do. Like the dog park, for
The
instance.
dog park, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then I handle building maintenance department. And what a lot of people don't realize is, everybody thinks building maintenance is cleaning and painting and all of that. Well, there's 39 buildings that they look after, and it not only is cleaning and painting and repair work, but they also do the flagpoles. We have 12 village flagpoles, 1,500 street lights, an electric scoreboard over at the Downs Family Park, and 4 lake aeration pumps. They too work on those. Besides the Parks Department, they do that. What they accomplished basically this year, I think one of the major accomplishments was upstairs.
Right.
They have worked very hard on upstairs. And in between everything else that they do, in the off-season, they were really working on the upstairs, which included 2 new boilers were installed to cover the 3 floors in the building. They installed more HVAC in the boardroom. Second floor renovations include elevator, lighting, phone system, HVAC system, ceilings, floor, office cubicles, restrooms, computer communication access, fire detection system, painting, and other things. And they have a crew to do all of this, and they did all of this year, and they did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Looks great.
At Dune Beach, they built and installed a new RPZ valve enclosure. They do that. They've done that in a number of the buildings. They did it at Chamber of Commerce. They did a lot of exterior painting at the Historical Museum. And they also did some reconstruction in that building and wiring, switches, receptacles, lighting. They did a new epoxy floor at Cooper's Pavilion. And the police station, they finished installation of snow retention system for the roof. Agawam Park, they installed a new electric on the new floating dock for lights and boat charging unit for the boat. And 25 Jobs Lane, that's the Southampton Center. They put in 2 new boilers for that building, and they've replaced a lot of poles for the street lights and made repairs and some other underground electrical repairs and new installations. For their 215 projects, they want to replace the doors on the restrooms and install electric locks at the chamber for the restrooms, replace the roof on the comfort station at Dune Beach. They want to paint the antique street light poles. If you look around, they do need it.
Right.
So they will get on that. They've done it before. Cooper Pavilion and ticket booth yearly maintenance to include sealing the deck, staining the exterior trim, deck railings, painting is needed. Update the exhaust fan and hood and fire suppression system in the kitchen area to bring it up to code. Village Hall boardroom and east front roof to be recoated with a rubberized roofing material so that we don't leak here. Finish the building, the new railings for the east roof, finish renovations on the second floor, look into having exterior trim stripped and painted, replaced, the carpet on the first floor in the hallway and other areas. Police station to finish the installation of the snow retention system on the roofs and replace the gutters, replace the carpet on the first floor in some areas. Agawam Park, install electric under the new boardwalk for lighting as needed. And then basically maintenance of the HVAC systems in the buildings, maintenance to the overhead doors is needed, yearly painting maintenance to buildings is needed, replace wooden street poles, the old wooden street poles, those are, you probably noticed some of them throughout the village. They want to replace them with a new green aluminum, which will last longer and will look fine. Cultural Center, change out the carpet tiles in the gallery area. Those carpet tiles have been a nightmare, and they're going to probably use a commercial grade simulated wood grain flooring, which I think will work really well for them over there. And in the village yard, they want to install snow guards on roofs as needed and repair the gutters and the damage from ice and snow. So they have their work cut out for them, and they are, I have to say, they are fabulous.
Jimmy does a great job.
Yeah, and and I think he really didn't say enough about himself, because when this past year, when the Southampton Center had that big event and they redid the floor and they redid, that front room, they took that all apart, which was the guest thing. I mean, but also the skylights there, he was up there cleaning those skylights. When people went in there, they looked up and said, I never even knew this was here. Well, no, because it never looked as good.
Right.
So, I mean, there were things that he left off this list that John
He'll
and
never
his...
speak enough about himself.
No, he will never speak enough about himself. He's terrific. So
Good man.
that's what's going on there.
So,
A lot.
great. Michael, did you have anything else you wanted to add there?
Well, maybe I'll just throw in a thing on the Justice Court,
Okay.
because we sort of bypassed
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and
I didn't know if Barbara was going to show up here or.
And, the interesting thing is in the community, we have the police department, we have the fire department, we have the ambulance services and stuff, and they're all really protective services. The Justice Court is a protective service in many respects, and a very important part of Southampton Village. And I think we first opened it in 2002, I believe. So it has been around a while. Without a doubt, it is a place that ensures safety and guarantees your rights. It also is a forum for disputes, and it has a lot of safety issues there that really aren't glorified, like the fire department and the ambulance service and so forth. And it's kind of interesting. In the state of New York, there's 1,300 justice courts. And in those 1,300 justice courts, they handle over 2 million cases. So, they're pretty significant to have in a community. And they do everything from traffic tickets to small claims to code violations and criminal matters. One of the things going forward, I think, with our court system is that although justice courts aren't required to be courts of record, there are a lot of records. There's piles of records. And over there in the court, they only have a very small room where they have most of these records stored, and they pretty much need them for ongoing court hearings and so forth. And I think going forward, it's going to be pretty important to see if we can't find them some extra room for storage. It's convenient that they can bring the records up and have them available. So, all our volunteers and stuff are always on 24/7. Both Judge Solomon and Barbara Wilson are both on 24/7. They got calls in the middle of the night for arraignments and stuff. And I think it's pretty spectacular how a community works and all the different organizations come forward and how much people put out to make it happen. And the court system is just one of them.
No, it's true. No.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Throwing some nice stats there.
There you go. Yeah.
I like
It's,
that.
wow. 2 million. That's unbelievable. So, Rich, did you have anything else you wanted to add to your guys? So,
No, I think
Okay.
they covered it all.
I just wanted to add that, the Planning Commission's done it, working on a couple of issues this year. One is the FEMA, and I think they've made great progress, and we hope to have that resolved in the next month or two. The other piece is the taking on the project for the sewer district and the creation of the sewer district. So, meeting with H2M, we hired this summer. They are in the process, they've almost completed the mapping of the area, and they're beginning the design concepts. Gary Gillespie's been the contact person for the village, and he's toured some of the sites that H2M's worked at, and they're also working on the cost of developing the district and the tax structure behind it and the payment piece. So over the next several months, they're going to be doing some individual meetings with us, and then coming in and doing a presentation to the Planning Commission and also to this board to kind of keep people up to date as to where this is at. And this is an extremely important project here. It has significant impacts on not only the lake piece, but also our master plan for the village business district that we'd updated, and to be able to bring back some of the wet uses. So you look at Windmill Lane, you see some of the structures down on Windmill Lane, excuse me, and part of their issue is that it's all about waste management for those properties, and because they are 2, 3, 4 feet to groundwater in some of those buildings. So it's important to the village and how we move forward in the future of this septic system. So I think we touched base on the boardwalk at the foot of at the north end of Lake Agawam. I think that's beautifying the area. It's going to be up and operational. The Pierce Concert ferry that ran, those guys are going to be bringing it back again this year. Nick Palumbo and his group did a great job of bringing that, and that came in late August, and it was very successful, and they had a lot of support there. So some big events around here. Septemberfest was another great event for us this year. The summer concert series and the Friday night movies at the Southampton Arts Center. And the Cultural Center has really done a great job in engaging Michael Disher and the people who put these plays on, and it's been fantastic. So, and I think Brenda's doing. I know, I got it right here. So, and Brenda's making a lot of headway with the African American Museum, and been a lot of work. So. And she reminded me here, but I have it right here. We have it's 2015, and it's the 375th anniversary of Southampton, and there's a lot of events that are going on this year. The parade theme behind the parade is 375 years. We've got the historical museums doing stuff, the Southampton Arts Center, the Cultural Center. The library, the Shinnecock Indian Reservation Museum. Brenda, you guys are with the African Museum. You guys are doing some work around. I know that Nancy, you've been involved in a lot of those meetings, and it's a lot of great events. And
Southampton Press is going to have a website. They're putting together a website, so you can go on. You can go on and
just a calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The calendar is up on the 27 East, so you'll know all the events that are going on. But one of the things that's going on is a convocation on Saturday, March 7th, at the First Presbyterian Church, and it's basically a walkthrough of the history, and a lot of people that are coming to speak about Southampton and really kind of what's happened over 375 years, but really kind of what's happened over the last 25 years. Since 350, and it'll be a nice event. So it's Saturday, March 7th at 3 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church, and it's really celebrate the founding of Southampton and also Southold. So if you drive over Southold, you'll see some of the same names you see here with the farms and farm stands. So. Everybody's related, dated, and best friends out here. So
may be part of our problem.
You said it.
It's a lot of very nice events.
It's really, it's an absolutely fantastic series of events that are going to go on, and a lot of we've had some great committees that have worked hard, and, to organize
Still
this
working.
stuff, and it's still working, and, so we're very fortunate. So I want everybody to participate in that, and it'll be a great event for everybody, so. Steve, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, like every other department, we've had a very busy year here, and it's starting off already with beach requests and beach parties. The fiscal year ending 5/31/14 was a very good year due to, we kept expenditures under budget and revenues exceeded budget, which just allows us to put about $1.2 million into special reserve accounts in addition to increasing our fund balance. So that's good. And, we're starting on the September Fest. We had a great September Fest turnout last year. Each year gets better and better, and we're expanding it more and more each year, and we already started meeting on that, get that moving. Very happy that the move is scheduled next week to get that project, long, arduous project done. The servers, for the computer servers, are going to be moved this weekend from downstairs to upstairs, and then once we get that done, we'll be able to do the online access for the public to get on for the tax rolls and the building inspectors. That's
Great.
99% done at that point. Okay, and then the next big thing that I want to dig into is the cell towers to get that up and running.
Right. Okay, great. So as you can see, 2014 was a very productive year for the village of Southampton. A lot of things going on, a lot of positive things that are going on out here, and so 2015 is going to be another exciting year, and it's well, it's a pleasure to be here. So
Let's not forget the illustrious work of our wonderful counsel over here, with all the whereases, and he kept us out of quite a bit of issues, and
that he
he's
did.
always quick to answer at request. So
Yeah, no.
Whereas we're up 30%.
that's
Yeah,
whereas
that's
we're
right.
30%.
I try to keep those down.
But you're right. There's been some extra work for you there, Rick, and we appreciate it. Therefore,
he's had to interpret a lot of things for us.
on behalf of the residents of the village of Southampton, so thanks, Rick. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out too, Rich. So I don't think we have any more board presentations here. And so public hearings at local law number 4, exemption Halcyon Lodge LLC. The application's been withdrawn.
So we just need a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing.
make the motion, to close the public hearing on that.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye. Okay. So communications to the board.
The first one's from Southampton Rotary Southampton Rotary Club. This year, the 25th annual Southampton Rotary Firecracker 8K Run Walk is going to be an outstanding community event, as it always has been in the past. We politely request to hold our 25th Firecracker 8K Run on Sunday, July 5th, 2015. We'd also like to request the use of the trestle on North Sea Road to place a sign to announce Rotary's annual Firecracker 8K Run Walk. We have already submitted the proper application, and we have requested the insurance certificate, which we will provide as soon as we have in our hands. Thank you, Brenda, all the village residents.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Southampton Rotary Club to hold its annual Firecracker 8K Run in accordance with their letter dated January 22nd, 2015.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Second one's from Southampton Little League. Hope all is well. The Southampton Little League would like to utilize the Flying Point Fields for our 2015 season from April 1st, 2015 to July 1st, 2015, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our regular season terminates in June, but we would like to continue to use the fields until the conclusion of tournament play, which could end in July. Additionally, we'd like to utilize the facility on Saturday, April 25th, from 8 to 4 for our opening day ceremonies. In the event of rain, we would request the same schedule for Sunday, April 26th. Please feel free to contact me, John Donovan. There's also a second letter to invite the mayor and the entire board of trustees to the opening ceremony on Saturday, April 25th.
Great. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Southampton Little League utilize the Downs Family Park fields in accordance with their letter dated February 9th, 2015.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The last one's from Southampton Soccer Club. Even though snow has been covering the fields, the spring soccer season is fast approaching and practice game schedule are upon us. Southampton Soccer Club SSC is host to 11 boy teams and 4 girls teams, the most ever competing in the Long Island Junior Soccer League that will require playing field use for practice and games. Because of the growth of the club, we now have recreational soccer for the children who don't wish to travel. The club has grown to include over 300 children. We anticipate the need for fields to be on weekdays from 4 to 7 for practices, and Saturday and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. for games. We have also established the dates of our summer youth camps at this time. A copy of our certificate of insurance was mailed to you for the last fall season. The renewal date is September of this year. On behalf of the SSC, I would like to request permission to use the Downs Family Park soccer fields beginning the week of March 2nd, weather permitting, and continuing throughout this spring season until the 3rd weekend in June. We are aware of the parks used by the fire department the first weekend in June and have made the appropriate arrangements. We also request the use of the park for the following summer program dates for our youth camps: June 29th to July 3rd, 9 to 1, July 27th to July 31st, 9 to 1, August 3rd to August 7th, 9 to 1, August 24th to August 28th, 9 to 1, and August 31st to September 4th, I'm assuming 9 to 1. Tuesdays and Thursdays from June 30th through August 20th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for summer training for our travel teams. As always, thank you for your consideration. Tim Rumpf.
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize Southampton Soccer Club to utilize the Downs Family Park in accordance with their letter dated February 7, 2000. It says 14, but it should say 15.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions, item 1, resolve that the reading of the minutes for the work session of January 20th, 2015 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and the actions taken at the meeting be and hereby ratified and approved. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? In favor?
Aye.
Item 2, resolve that the claims for the warrants dated February 12th, 2015 totaling $377,872.25, warrants 11 general fund, $9,676.43.87, warrants 9 and 17 trust fund, and $16,680.62 warrant 9 capital reserve fund in the village payrolls for the periods from January 23rd, 2015 to February 5th, 2015 be ordered and approved. Got a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Page 1, Alpine Software, additional module for the red alert system for the ambulance, $2,562.50. Aldo Andrioli, engineering fees for February, $3,250. Page 2, Atlantic Salt, 166 tons of salt, $11,351.98. Bellringer Communications, camera repair, $1,150.83. Black Gold Industries, 17 tons of cold patch for 2020-42. CSEA insurance premium for February, $24,387.30. Page 4, Caputo Brothers Snow Removal for the last storm, 1,800. Carlin Jacks, DPW uniforms, 1,606. Cast Production video services for January, 1,536.65. Page 5, Cleary Consulting for Beach Plum Meadows, 1,350. East End Snow and Ice Management, ice melt for the Parks Department, 1,175. Page 6, EMT Governmental Accounting Services for January, 1,330. Page 7, Flynn Stenography and Transcriptions with Dean versus the ARV, 1,412.95. Fulham Environmental Services, Snow Removal, 3,450. G&M Deej Gas Pump Repair, 5,615.92. General Code Publishers Maintenance Agreement for the Laserfish, $7,009. Global Montello, two payments, one for 2,003 gallons of diesel in the amount of $3,520.40, and the other was 3,003 gallons of diesel for $5,277.17. Bureau Contracting, flowing on to page 8, snow removal, $31,960. Eric Hardware, starting on page 8, on to page 10. January supplies, $1,497.85. Johnson Electrical, traffic light maintenance, $1,350. Johnson Supply, AC units for the second floor Village Hall, $1,461.74. Page 11, Lewis RCF Energy fuel oil, $1,334.56. Lynch's Garden Assembly, going on to page 12. January supplies, $1,007.905. M&M Contracting, snow removal, $6,560. Matthew Bender, law books, $1,511.52. Messiano Consulting, grant writing services, $4,162.50 through January. ML Corrigan, snow removal, $18,310.20. Page 13, Moore Medical supplies for the ambulance, $1,279.83. Morgan Auto Supply, parts for the garage, $2,243.85. Morton Salt, 246 pounds of salt, $15,582.41. National Grid bill for the fire department, $1,214.16. Page 15, Norsec and Sons carding for January, $4,185. Office of State Controller, December fines for the court, $16,119.50. Page 16, Physio Control, maintenance on the CPR compression equipment for the ambulance, $2,765.88. Pitney Bowes mail for the fire department, $1,520.99. PSE&G, building bill, $3,465.48, and street lighting bill, $8,529.93. Page 18, Ronco, cleaning supplies for the building maintenance department, $1,600.51. Page 19, Southampton Fire Department, purchase of the 1939 Ford Pumper, $2,500. Sprague operating reserve, 3,050 gallons of gas, $4,256.89, and 3,000 gallons of gas again, $4,308.60. Stott Architecture, 10% retainer for the ambulance architecture contract, $48,290. Student North Consulting for the ARB, $1,275. 20, two payments to Vince Toomey for legal fees for December, $25,224.18, and for January, $9,216.71. Town of Southampton, fire training fee 2015, $1,500. Tyco Security for 25 Jobs Lane, $1,455.42. Verizon bill $3,634.30 for January, and Verizon Wireless on page 22, $1,323.89. W&G Services, heat repair at the Cultural Center, $1,566. Wainscott Sand and Gravel, Sand and Brush, $5,205.48, and dumping fees $1,575. 23, Whitmer Associates, ambulance uniforms, $1,897, and again, for the same item on page 24, $1,224. Wright National Flood Insurance for Cooper's Pavilion, $7,715. Next warrant is a trust warrant, Stephen Maresca, final drawings for the Agawam Boardwalk, $4,500, and Nelson Boys Engineering for the Boardwalk at Agawam, $5,100. Next trust warrant, William Martin, $2,435.88, and Marion McCormick, $5,207.99, both tax sales certificates redemption. And the last warrant is the capital reserve warrant, Home Depot Credit Services, bath and kitchen fixtures for the second floor of Village Hall, $2,169.17, and two payments to Wolf Flory for both the carpeting and the vinyl planking upstairs, $6,959.10 and $7,552.35. Further discussion?
I just wanted to point out that I think the number is about $62,000 that we spent on contractors, snow removal during the, to remove, which I think was well spent.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and
to bring the big equipment to
yeah, they did a great job. There's no way that we'd have the village in the position that we had. So
A lot of snow.
and yeah, some local guys stepped up here and helped us out, and that was the cost of that. So
Can I just ask one thing, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Now that what's the annual savings now that we're not paying a rent for the building department anymore? What was?
It'll be a little bit over $60,000.
60 grand.
Plus the fact, what John mentioned too, you're not bringing files back and
Right,
forth.
right. Yeah, that's a part of it.
Files
That's
get
huge.
lost, and it's just, a real hassle.
great.
Item 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby
We
approves the...
actually need to vote on that.
I'm sorry?
We need to vote
Oh, yeah,
on
all in
that.
favor?
Aye.
Jumped the gun there.
That's okay.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate overage to the period January 9th through February 12th, 2015. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, $2,000 into clerk's equipment from contractual. Item 2, $20,000 into law contractual, $18,750 into building fee refund, with $28,570 coming out of contingency and $10,180 out of workers' comp. Item 3, $7,000 into building supplies coming from part-time. Item 4, $2,000 into police miscellaneous from supplies. Item 5, $2,000 into traffic contractual from traffic electricity. Next one is $80,000 to highway contractual from highway supplies. Next one is $200 into shade trees out of shade trees contractual. And the last one is $1,500 into safety inspection part-time, $6,500 in safety inspection equipment, $8,000 into building inspection contractual with $7,300 from workers' comp, and $8,700 from police retirement. Motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, the resolve of the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget adjustment for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2014. $700,000 increase in capital reserve coming from the unreserved fund balance, $700,000. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, this is the item we discussed last time. We're taking $1.2 million out of our unreserved fund balance, $500,000 going into compensated absences, and then $700,000 going to move into the capital reserve fund for facilities. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, whereas the New York State Department of Parks, Restoration, and Historic Preservation, under its Bureau of Community Preservation Services, administers an annual certified local government CLG grant program. And whereas the CLG program supports such activities as training projects designed to increase commission members' knowledge and expertise concerning historic preservation and places highest priority on regional training efforts, therefore it be resolved that the Southampton Village Board of Trustees ratify the submission of a grant application to the 2015 New York State CLG grant program for a project to provide regional training for architecture review board members and related stakeholders, and upon approval of said request, authorize the mayor or his designee to enter into and execute a project agreement with the state for such financial assistance to this village to conduct regional workshops entitled FEMA Compliance in Historic Districts, and therefore be resolved that the total project cost is projected at $7,500, and that the village has committed 40% local matching funds in the amount of $3,000 in support of this project. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? This was recommended by Jen. We've done this CLG programs in the past. This year, obviously, they're focusing on the FEMA issue because of recent events.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 6, resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the performance of Shakespeare in the Park on Friday, August 14th, and Saturday, August 15th at 7:30 p.m. in Agawam Park. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, we do just a comment. We do this every year at Shakespeare in the Park. It's pretty cool, and they there's a lot of people that show up, and
Yeah.
so
I remember last year, it was the same, I think Greece was showing, and the South.
yes,
So,
yeah,
and it was, so just walking back, and walking around the entire village, but certainly walking back, watching the Shakespeare and finishing that, and walking down and catching the people gathered for Greece, it was really cool.
Yeah.
The people who attended these events.
yeah. No, it's great. So,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of Josie T. as an assistant to the tax receiver for the period June 2nd to July 3rd at an hourly rate of $15.
Tea?
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Come on,
She works-
you
I don't
gotta
know how
give
to
that one a
pronounce her
shot.
name.
That's
How
the
do you-
most unusual
You
name.
gotta give that one a shot.
Nobody gives that one a shot.
How
She's
the
worked
hell
with
do
us
you
for
say
3
that?
years now, and nobody gives that.
Got 4 T's, 2 Z's,
Holy,
4 I's. What
It's
a
a-
name.
it's a Mitla.
Is she from this planet?
Oh, Jesus.
It's very nice.
It's a
It does a great
Hard
job
work.
for us. So, I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, Yaz, you want to figure out how to say that as a discussion item? Or- You okay?
It's a
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the following maximum rates for non-prevailing wage rental of equipment for snow and sand removal only for 2015. 10-wheel dump, minimum 65,000 pounds, 16-yard, $150 an hour. 6-wheel dump, minimum 18,000 pounds, 7-yard, $110 an hour. 6-wheel dump, minimum 27,000 pound, 7-yard, $125 an hour. Tractor trailer, minimum 8,000 pound, 32-yard, $175 an hour. 1-ton pickup, $90 an hour. 3/4 ton pickup, $85 an hour. 1/2 ton pickup, $75 an hour. Payloader, minimum 2 yards, $130 an hour. Minimum 3 yards, $140 an hour. 4 yards, $150 an hour. Minimum 5 yards, $160 an hour. Minimum 6 yards, $180 an hour. With a multi-purpose bucket at $40 an hour. Rubber tire, hydraulic excavator, minimum 3 yards, $185 an hour. Bulldozer, minimum 165 horse, $185 an hour. Minimum 200 horsepower, $225 an hour. A crane, 20-ton, 3/4 yard. Dragline crawler, $185 an hour. Skid steer loader, rubber tracks, minimum 1/4 yard, $135 an hour. With a snowplow, add $15 an hour. Road grader, $150 an hour. Horizontal grinder, minimum 1,000 horsepower with rotor diameter and necessary equipment to feed grinder, $600 an hour. 35-ton off-road site truck, $200 an hour. 30-ton off-road site truck, $190 an hour. Long stick excavator on tracks, $250 an hour. Vacuum drain cleaner, including operator and laborer, $350 an hour. And a bucket truck with 70-foot boom, $175 an hour. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Let's do a discussion on this. The reasoning behind this is that the town of Southampton, at their annual meeting, approves these rates, because these are outside contractors they'll pull in an emergency situation. So with all the snow removals, we didn't have any established rates at that point in time, so we reached out to the town of Southampton. So we thought it would be important that if we put this down as a resolution, the same way the town does with the same numbers, we're working off the same numbers, and that everybody knows kind of what the starting point is when they come in to bid everything and to do it. So, and it was consistent with what the town was doing. We don't have to do in emergency situations. We do not have to do prevailing wages, because if we had prevailing numbers, this would be substantially higher in here. And these are all the different pieces of equipment and operators that they've run into that they do on an annual basis. So,
I just want to add also that snow removal is exempt from prevailing wage.
yeah.
So we're just really setting the wage is what you're doing, because there is equipment here that you wouldn't use in snow removal.
Right.
Right. I talked to Gary about that because, he said, but let's do the complete list, so just in case we ever need something in here, we have it.
Right.
I mean, we can dig some good channels around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think he's looking at
Yeah.
using the bucket
Removing
truck to
snow.
hang the Christmas lights in the
Right.
snow.
Yeah. So,
Were we far off the mark anyways with what we,
No, this is what we paid on the contracting bills that we just discussed.
Okay, all right,
It was at these
so we're
rates.
gonna reutilize, okay.
because we wanted to be consistent with the town, and so that's what we did. We reached out to them, and they provided this list. So we said, there's stuff here that we would never use, but we'd rather be safe than sorry on something like that.
That
So,
would be half that amount, huh?
Too much.
all right,
All in favor?
Any other discussion around this?
No, that's good.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9, whereas in any democratic government, voting is the most common means of participation in that government and works best when voters participate in the elections that determine leadership and policy. And whereas the democratic process on Long Island is confusing due to the fact that there are more than 900 different taxing entities comprising our local governments, including numerous special districts such as library, fire, water, sanitation, parks, etc., with varying election days for their elections. And whereas with the myriad of taxing entities and their different election dates throughout the year, it is difficult for residents and taxpayers to keep track of how their tax dollars are being spent, which typically constitute a significant portion of their property taxes. And whereas low voter turnout below 5% is considered normal for special districts, and whereas it has been documented that voter turnout for school districts and fire districts increased when a single date was established for all school district elections and a single date was established for all fire district elections, and whereas single-date elections for special districts will focus media and voter attention on relevant issues, increasing the likelihood that the public's interest is served. And therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton be and hereby supports attaining a unified election date for Long Island special districts and urges our state representatives to consider legislation to establish a common day for special district elections in the counties of Nassau and Suffolk. And be it further resolved that the village clerk is directed to forward this resolution to Senator Kenneth Laval, Assemblyman Fred Thiel, Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Energy a Partnership at Malloy College, advising them of our position and a call for action. And be it further resolved that the village of Southampton will work with local advocacy groups whose mission is focused on voter reform issues such as the League of Women Voters and others to enlist their assistance in raising public awareness and developing an educational campaign to gain widespread popular support for this effort. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion on it. This is several years ago, I got involved with the group called Energy a Partnership through Malloy College. And what we did is over a 2-year period, and every year they have a new class that starts up with about 35 people. So over a 2-year period, you study things from energy production on Long Island to the school systems to racism to land management issues and one of the initiatives that the Energy Partnership is working on is getting a unified voting dates. So that way you increase voter turnout, that people are more aware of where the monies are being spent, because you look at a wide variety of election dates, and you get stronger voter turnout, and you lower the cost of the election costs to the taxpayer. So through this unified voter resolution here, means that the Village of Southampton supports us trying to have the state look at ways to consolidate voting and try to get more people out. Sean Walters, supervisor in the town of Riverhead, and myself are both part of this energy partnership. We're going to the town of Southampton. Brenda's arranged us to do presentations in front of the town of Southampton, the town of East Hampton, and we're trying to get all the East End towns to support this. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback so far from the people that we've talked to. We've gotten resolutions. The town of Brookhaven's is pushing for this, and I think it's important that we make a statement on this. I think it makes people really much more aware of where their tax dollars are spent, gives them an opportunity to participate in the democratic process, and lowers the cost. So,
Can I ask?
Sure.
When you say all the special districts, that usually comprises of not just fire, but waste management, sewage, water,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So are they looking to set a singular date for all of those, or are they looking to say, here's a fire district date, here's a water district date, here's a garbage date? Or has that been discussed?
Ideally, what we're trying to do is consolidate a date to do everything.
Currently
Yeah.
for us, it just applies to a fire district.
Right.
But you have an area that could have several different.
Well, we have a library district.
I'm sorry,
We have
right.
fire districts that are
So
here.
okay, so.
You have the school districts, and so if we can get people
So you're
to.
talking about the school stuff.
Well,
too,
I mean,
not
I don't
just
think the school districts would. The big challenge, like the villages have our dates that are in June.
Right.
And so we have a choice of either a March or a June date. And I don't think that'll change, but you never know. But the school districts all do it on it's the same date for the vote, and so
Yeah,
it's
usually
great
do
press
special
coverage.
districts
People, the
of the
information
extra
out
stuff,
there
yeah.
is much better, and so it's a consolidated date. Ideally, what we'd like to see is people be able to go in and vote for everything on one day, but but we're going to try to just say all sewage districts are going to be here, all libraries would be on the same date, all fire districts would be on the same date, all these special elections, try to consolidate that first, and then see if you can pull everything to one date. So it's important, and so I'm hoping this board will support this, and then it's easier for me to stand in front of the town of Southampton and the town of East Hampton and say, I know Riverhead's already passed this, and for us to say our municipalities already support this. So, any other comments or questions or anything? So,
All in favor?
aye. Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Item 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign an engagement letter with the law firm of Ingerman Smith LLP, 150 Motor Parkway, Hopog, New York, to review the contract between the village and Stud Architecture, PC, at an hourly rate of $250. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Stevie
This
just
is
wanna-
to the contract with Stott, with Rick Stott, with regard to designing the ambulance barn. Rick had given me some comments, and I spoke to Nick Amoruso, and he strongly suggested that we had a contract lawyer look at this. I went through it. There's a lot of things that really need to be tightened up. So I did speak to Mary Ann at Ingham & Smith. She's already started this work. I spoke to most of you about it. I just want to get it moving because obviously we don't want to wait another delay with regard to getting this contract done. So I did receive a draft for comments last night, and I'll wrap it out over the weekend and we can get this thing done.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 11, resolve that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Patrick Berenger as a probationary member of the Southampton Hose Company effective February 12th, 2015. Got a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next two I have to make some slight changes, but resolve that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Benjamin Elflein as a probation member, and that should be Agawam Hose Company, effective February 12th, 2015. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolve that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment, that should be Nicholas Pobat, as a probationary member of the Hook and Ladder Company, effective February 12th, 2015. Got a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Last one is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the capital reserve account, subject to permissive referendum. Home Depot Credit Services, 2001-69-17 from the facilities reserve, and Will Florio, 14,511.45 from the facilities reserve. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion items, the property tax cap, we're getting to budget season again, and what we always plan to keep under the property tax cap each year, but due to NICOM regulations and unforeseen circumstances, they strongly recommend that we enact a local law to allow us to break this tax cap if need be, which we've done every year. So I'd just like to schedule a public hearing for that for the first meeting in March.
Okay.
To provide that. You okay with that, Rick?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I prepare the local law this year, there'll be one new thing in it. I'll just alert you to it. There's a provision in state law. I didn't bring it with me, so I might be 100% accurate on what I'm talking about. But there's a provision that well, first of all, as you know, the local law simply authorizes you to override the tax cap limit. It doesn't require that you do that. And then you adopt the budget. If you don't exceed the tax cap levy, then you're not overriding it, and you're not using the local law. There is a new provision in state law where taxpayers of villages and towns, et cetera, can get a income tax, property tax credit break on their income tax returns if the municipality does not override the tax cap levy, and if we repeal the local law that authorized us to override it.
And we have to file the tax freeze plan in conjunction with that.
Yes. So what I'm going to do in the local law this year is include a provision in it that you can repeal it by resolution if you don't use it, so that you don't have to go through another public hearing process to repeal something that you haven't utilized.
Okay.
So that'll be in there when I prepare it.
Don't forget the whereases.
All right, right.
I love a bunch of them.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. Next item is tax sale certificates. At the first board meeting in January, we scheduled a tax sale for March 11th of this year. As in previous years, or as we did the last 2 years, we did not offer them. The village itself took those certificates themselves, which I recommend we do again. It's a good interest rate. It's a lot less burdensome on Danielle, and luckily we're in a position that we can afford to do that.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last item is a building application procedure review proposal from Nelson Pope and Voorhees.
Yeah, this is one of the recommendations that was coming out of the Planning Commission, was for us to look at the building application, the content and the procedures. And, we've been talking about this for a while, and I've had a meeting with, Michael and I have had meetings with the board chairs and the attorneys representing the boards and the building department, and just, really kind of organizing this process, creating the checklist, making sure they're thorough, is a very hefty job. It's heavy lifting, and I mean, obviously, anybody heard John Foster tonight and speak about the activity in the building department? There's just no way that volunteers with support of the building department and our attorneys could actually effectively do this. So we reached out to Nelson Pope and Voorhees to put forth a proposal. The proposal came in today, and I sent it out to everybody via email. I know a lot of people didn't get an opportunity to read it. I didn't really get a chance to really thoroughly read it. So, Michael, I know you had a chance to look at it. I don't know what your initial comments on it are.
Well, I think there's two things that going forward in it, as we discussed.
Yeah.
The primary thing is that there are a lot of complicated issues in creating a checklist. It's not just a simple thing that a group of volunteers or the various boards can do, because there are legal issues there that are involved, and you got to make sure it's done correctly. So I think what Nelson Pope and Voorhees sent back was more of a estimate for us on what the cost factor will be, and they included a couple other things, the speedies permits and stuff, and the stormwater runoff that is involved in the village. So it's something that we got to all review and decide whether or not we're going to do it. But I think it's imperative on the checklist that we do have a professional entity that does the list for us.
So we want to make sure that John Foster and Gary get a copy of this also. I emailed it over to you,
Yes,
Rick.
I saw it.
And Bo Robinson, I don't have his email,
I have it.
but if we can send it to him. I probably should send it out to the board chairs too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we send it out to the board chairs and Paul Travis also, so that way they get it, and that way we can come back here at our February 24th meeting.
Okay.
And be in a position to
Got it.
want to do this. So,
Okay.
Yeah. All right. But it's an important project for us. So, so no more discussion items, comments, board members there. Rich.
Yeah, just once again, I want to thank all the departments that spoke tonight. It gets once again indicated how many hours and time and efforts that are put into keeping this village operate seamlessly and safely for all the people to come out and enjoy. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes that some people see, but a lot don't. So again, I thank all the departments, which also leads me to part of where the public can help them sometimes. And certainly in light of recent storms, snow, what I find is a lot of property owners don't clear their driveways, their properties, and that can pose a hazard. A lot of these calls that were mentioned by the first responders this evening are a lot of these homes that aren't occupied because of alarms going off and all these false alarms. And to add to that frustration, a lot of the times the driveways aren't clear, or they can't get to the meter because it's not clear to pathways, and they can't get in touch with whoever the homeowner or certainly the caretaker. So I just really wish people would get a little more diligent about that, especially if they're not here, to make sure that the properties are maintained. So service, and then not to even mention service people, oil deliveries, postal service, UPS, whatever. An example I saw firsthand was right in the heart of the village. There was a call that came in to a business, and they hadn't plowed their own driveway, so the fire truck couldn't, the first responder, the chief, couldn't get in. One of the fire trucks got stuck getting in. Thankfully, the DPW, one of your parks people, as a matter of fact, were doing some night work clearing some of the mountains of snow. They went over, and they were literally 100 yards away, and cleared a path for the fire department to get in and it was it was a gas leak. It was a real call. It wasn't a false alarm, and they cleared a path around the gas and the meter. So, I keep hearing the frustration for these people, and so I just implore people to be mindful of that, and especially in these snowstorms when there's a lot of snow and we're not done yet. Keep in mind, keep your areas clear. That's what I would
Here are
say.
your fire hydrants. I
And
still
the
have
fire,
to
you
do
know.
mine. I've done that.
And, you know, business part of it too, sure, but if you got a fire, yes, you got one right in front. But I just wanted to
Get at it. But
extend on behalf of these guys in the departments, their frustration.
Well said, well said. Mike?
Well, to elaborate on that a bit and to give your two departments a thumbs up, I was away during the snowstorm.
me too.
And
I hate to admit it.
I flew back
Majority,
into
yeah, I swear.
Yeah.
and I flew back into JFK and I go, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to get in the driveway or how I was going to do anything. And luckily, because of a nice neighbor, he plowed my driveway, which, you know, I give a thumbs up to him for that. Thank you. But the most amazing thing was when I took a tour around the village and I've lived in areas that have extreme amount of snow. I couldn't believe how well the departments had done in cleaning up the streets. You know, they had removed snow off of Main Street and Job's Lane, and in years past they'd often just piled it up. Now it was removed. They really did an outstanding job. You know, they really deserve a thank you from the entire community, because pretty much all the roads were passable, and it was pretty impressive to see.
And got all the sidewalks passable
Yep.
within a couple of days.
And when you aren't around and you don't see it and you expect the worst when you get back and you see something like that, it's really impressive.
Great, thanks, Mike. Nancy?
I agree with all that. In addition, I am going to bring up, because I can't help it, I'm bringing up the application that's in front of the town board for a change of zone on County Road 39 from highway business to shopping center. You know, I've been going to the meetings over in Town Hall, and I think the one message that we've heard loud and clear from people who have gotten up and talked is that they want a new supermarket because they're unhappy with Waldbaum's. That was said over and over and over again. And my concern, and I get that, and I think we could all sit here and agree with that, but my concern is the safety of where they want to locate that. They're having an entrance and an exit on County Road 39. They're expecting people to enter that shopping center heading west off of crossing over 2 lanes of traffic on County Road 39. They're expecting that turning lane to be open for that. They're expecting that turning lane to be open for Sandy Hollow Road. There's not enough room there. In their DEIS, their traffic consultant really didn't talk about that, and then the town hired Dunn Engineering to review the traffic study that was done in the DEIS, and they made a comment on how that is absolutely dangerous and that will not work there. On County Road 39, they also have an entrance, and this is another great concern that I have for our community, an entrance and exit on McGee Street, which I feel personally that will become the route of choice. And the reason why that will become the route of choice is for those people who are coming off of North McGee at that very long light. They're not going to turn on to County Road 39 to enter in that way. They're going to go cross over and go in off of McGee Street. And those people when it backs up at that light, they're not going to go in that direction. They're going to go down North Sea Road. They're going to go up to West Prospect, and they're going to go in via West Prospect to Moses and over in that way. So all of those little side streets are going to be inundated with traffic to a point where I think it's going to be intolerable. I mean, they're already saying that the supermarket will have at least 12,000 to 20,000 visits per week. I mean, even if we get half of that on those little side streets, it's enormous, and it's going to create a safety issue for our homes there. I mean, the homes that are 30 and 35 feet from the road. The other thing, and you can talk about this if you would like, and changing the zone is a real problem, because it will open. If you read what they want to what shopping center defines, shopping center, what's included in that is, and I'll let you talk about it, are other businesses that if they were to come along, other developers come along and want to develop other sections of that highway, it'll have a tremendous effect on their business district. And I'm extremely concerned about that. You know, they talked about how people don't want to drive to Hampton Bays or over to King Cullen. It's 6 miles. I mean, what are we talking about here? 10 minutes in the car? 10 extra minutes in the car. So it's a problem. It's a real problem. And, you know, there were a lot of people who came out in favor of the developer. Several of them said, I'm from Nassau County. I've lived here for about 6 or 7 years. In Nassau County, we have conveniences. We really need the conveniences here. And I'd like to see the shopping center. And I'm thinking, my God, that's why we're all here. We don't want to be part of Nassau County. And most of the people who live here keep saying, we're not Nassau County. We don't want to be Nassau County. So I took a little bit of offense to that, but really, that's just a personal opinion. I mean, really what I'm concerned about is the safety. This is not a good thing. I think it's unsafe, and I really don't want to see it happen. And on top of it, the highway was planned to have highway business so that you wouldn't have a lot of trips in and out, because it's dangerous. Now, we're going to have a lot of trips. So if, in fact, they put this through, and I'm hoping that people will come out and say, you know, especially all those little neighborhoods, when you're over on Moses and all Halsey Street and Corrigan Street and Bishop's Lane, and they're all going to come through on the streets that have the traffic lights. You're going to come down, they'll come down your street, Bill. Cooper's Farm already is seeing an increase because they're going to come down to the traffic light and think that they stand a better chance. And then as they're going down Moses and they want to get onto Hill Street, when they get onto Hill Street and see how that's backed up, they're going to go down First Neck Lane and all those streets and travel all along the ocean because it's beautiful. It's just a bad thing for our community.
Nancy, you're so right on the traffic, because even now during, you know, peak hours after work, you get a tremendous amount of traffic coming out of White Street, down Halsey,
Absolutely.
across on Armande over to McGee. There is a solid line at
Right.
4:30
Right,
doing that.
right.
And, you know, you add the shopping center to that, you've got a real problem.
And what concerns me is that I'm not seeing over there, going to those board meetings, I'm not seeing a board that I think is against this. And now we have a group of people who've come out who are friends of the developer, who are all getting up and saying, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. And because we're in the dead of the winter, and because we've had these snowstorms, the people who live, the second homeowners who live in the path of this new traffic problem, they're not here. And they're not going, and I think there's maybe a series of 3 meetings that they're going to hold the hearing open. And I keep saying, hold the hearing open. And, you know, so they're not hearing from the other side. We need them to hear from the other side. And I know that those people do not want it, because when the application came in for the on Moses for the condos that were going to go in there, they all came out in full force because they felt that was going to increase traffic on their street. Well, if they think that's going to increase traffic, I can't imagine, you know, 12 to 20,000 cars, even if you get half of that, that's what's going to be on their street now. So where are they? And I hope maybe they'll watch this, or maybe the light bulb will come on in their heads, that they have to get out and say, we don't want this. I'm just extremely concerned on the negative effect that this will have in our community. So.
Well said. Bill?
Rick, just a couple of comments. You know, I have a letter with me here, and I don't know if everybody got this. It was addressed to the Southampton Association, and I may have gotten it from them. But it was from that Leonard Jackson Associates, and it was dated December 12th, and it more or less lays it out very clearly that they feel that the village has issued a building permit to the people at 40 Meadow Lane and that it seriously violates the FEMA regulations. And then I see another letter here that I'm pretty sure I got through the village here from Farrell Fritz dated February 2nd. Basically, it's a huge, long letter. But in any event, it's saying the same thing. And I'm just concerned that, I don't know if you could advise us at some point, whether it's tonight or another time, but as to whether or not.
That matter is before the zoning board.
Yes. And I'm worried.
So the zoning board will be making a decision at some point.
Okay. So that, we should just wait for that? Okay.
And I know that there's been an incident filed with, John Foster filed I guess they call it an incident with FEMA to request their review of, because there's discrepancies between what Mr. Jackson says and what the experts for the applicant say.
Yeah.
And, John's just, he's not really in a position to make that decision.
Yeah, no,
So he's really asked FEMA to come in, and he's done this with the DEC when they came to people, talked about bulkheads and all that, to come in and actually review and give him some feedback on this to help. So it's really about truly the only way,
that's a good idea.
and that way it's the FEMA, because the issue is really all about, our standing within the FEMA flood insurance program, and we don't want to lose our standing with that.
I would think that we're possibly courting some serious legal liabilities, and you just like to think that in the end we're doing it as FEMA envisioned it, lest we.
Yeah. So I think with John filing that and having getting an opportunity to sit down with FEMA, which is the right thing to do, let them review the file, and then give us some kind of feedback on that. And hopefully that helps the zoning board of appeals but it's something that it's an issue. So
it's beyond us.
Wasn't that letter more or less focusing on not what they applied for, but what they've actually done during the construction phase after the application was given?
No, his is more of it's kind of like the whole application is really what his comments are referenced to. What's interesting, Mr. Jackson's the guy who put these FEMA zones in place and increased the numbers around here. And, he basically considered us at the same level that he did with, Jersey Shore and New York City and Long Beach and even Fire Island. And the difference between us and all those different places is they don't have the dune system in place that we have. So he's assuming that these tidal waves are going to come in, that at that base floodplain level plus 16, and it hit these homes when our dunes exceed that by another 10, 15 feet. So we already have a natural barrier that a lot of other places don't have, and so I'll be curious to see how FEMA
I'd love to just have them
interprets
tell us
that.
so that we don't go and embroil ourselves in something that ourselves rather.
Well, part of that mapping is all grist systems.
Right,
You know,
okay.
people, they don't actually come out and look at the facility, it's done by aircraft. So I think if you really took a close look, and I could be wrong, but you may know, I think if you take a real close look to the dune road areas, there's areas there because of the height of our dunes are so high that they're listed as X zones or non-FEMA areas, which they really aren't. So I think the whole thing needs a careful review and a reanalysis.
Are they expediting this? Because it just seems to me the construction, maybe the snowstorm has slowed it down, but if we are wrong, the sooner we.
Well, the owner knows that there's an application in front of the ZBA, and he's moving on his own risk. If the ZBA comes in and they say, they vote one way, that's his own risk that he has to take with that. So, I understand kind of the urgency behind it, but, you know, the reality is we want to have FEMA come in and
No, that's
look
a
at
great
that,
idea.
and,
Get the
yeah, so.
top crowd to lay it out straight for us.
Okay, yeah, so, no, it's been a, it's been a long, good board meeting. I greatly appreciate the feedback from everybody here. And, you know, I just have to, my comments in reference to the grocery store project is that, and my fear is that they're doing a change of zone from highway business to a shopping center district. And the issue with that is we all know that any time you do a zoning change and you set precedent, and this is what they're doing on the highway, that every developer and every lawyer that's going to come in and going to request a zoning change in a highway business district in the town of Southampton is going to use that example as a precedent. So when we talk about saving of the driving range, the Elks Club, the directly across the street from this area where they have the auto place, you've got the auto museum, you've got the marine repair place across the street. There's a junkyard in this area. There are quite a few, even down to Reverend Havarilla and his properties. There are quite a few pieces of property along County Road 39 that are ripe for developers to come in, and we've set a precedent here. And the moment that it's the horse is out of the barn on this, there's really no turning around on that. And what we're going to end up with is County Road 39 already heavily trafficked. Already, when we already know that the moment there's an accident or a death on that road, completely shuts it down. It diverts all the traffic into the village. It creates a log jam of activity.
Yep.
We already have our back roads are overrun, and now this precedent-setting zoning change can allow the opportunity for other change to come in. So if you look at County Road 39 corridor study, one of the things that it talks about in there is that the need for home supplies and garden centers. So basically, when they went in and they wrote that definition, they defined a Home Depot or a Lowe's center. And what they've done now, if they do this shopping center zone change, along with the County Road 39, it sets it up perfectly for a Home Depot or a Lowe's to be built on that road. So that will have a very negative effect on Herrick's, Shinnecock Hardware, Riverhead Building Supply, Lynch's Garden Center, on and on and on. And Abuff's paint store here, all these different places. It's going to have a very negative impact on. And I tell you what, and that's just the start of it. And if you want to see what County Road 39 will look like in 25 years, go over and see County Road 58 over in Riverhead. That's it. That's what you're going to have. The Bed Bath & Beyond's, big box retail. I always say Walmart killed the small town. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're fighting against. So they're going to open this zoning change to allow this to happen. And this is a precedent-setting, and they'll tell you it's not, but it is. It's precedent-setting zoning change, making that highway business to a shopping center district, and it opens the floodgate. And half the people sitting in that room are just dying for this to happen. And the village of Southampton cannot afford it. It would have such a negative impact on. And do I think Main Street and Job's Lane will be impacted by this? Personally, I don't think so. But it's the other streets. It's all it's Nugent. It's all the other streets in the village where you have these mom and pop stores that are operational. They struggle, they struggle on Main Street and Job's Lane also. But now you're going to put much more retail opportunities up on County Road 39. And you don't know the consequences, Bob Gibbs said, the consequences are significant to the village of Southampton. And you're going to open Pandora's box. So, you know.
And also, I mean, at the application, the developer reduced the size of the Tuckahoe Center because he was met with so much apprehension the first time around, and really they didn't approve it. So he owns the additional 7.5 acres that's that is contiguous with this development that he's putting in now with the supermarket, a mega market, a restaurant, a bank, several shops, and then he owns the additional 7.5 acres. So his lawyer got up and spoke, and the question, which people were saying, how long will it be before he applies to have that zoned for shopping center? And the lawyer's answer to that was, at the moment, we really have no intention of expanding, the shopping center at the moment. And then he said it's zoned residential, and what we probably will do is possibly develop that and in a residential way. And so someone said, well, could you put that in writing and make that part of it and guarantee that it will never be a shopping center, or that you'll apply to expand the shopping center and that it will only be residential? And they basically said no. So there are no guarantees on that. And so I personally feel that's a way that will go, and he'll get exactly what he wanted in the first place. And when we went over there, when he first presented that application, and the village was invited over there, that was the part that killed me more than anything, was that he was creating a whole new village 1.5 miles outside of the village of Southampton, which was competition for us. So someone would say, oh, well, how could you really compete with the village of Southampton? It's so beautiful, and it's so special, and you have terrific shops. You go over there, if you saw what he had designed, and you start to think, a Gap will go in there, a J. Crew will go in there, a Banana Republic will go in there. You'll start to get a couple of other stores that are just what everybody's looking for now. Maybe another Pottery Barn, or a Crate and Barrel or whatever. And guess what? That's where everybody's going to go. And our village will be really severely impacted by that. It's my concern. Will he expand the shopping center? We don't know yet. But you know what? He shouldn't have it there anyway, because there's safety issues on that highway, and I don't want all that traffic coming through all of our little side streets. It's wrong. It's not fair to the people who live here, and it's wrong. So that's my biggest concern. And I agree with you, too.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything else? Okay.
Well, just
Yeah.
the house in Toronto. I mean, to your thing, the biggest, outside of the safety and thing too, but the biggest to me, the major thing is the precedent setting, and I liken that to the little corner we were addressed with that scenario, at the end of where 27 meets County Road 39. And that was my concern back then, was the precedent. Now, granted, it was on a smaller scale, only fewer properties affected, but there were others that could have. Again, my big issue then was the precedent, and also if we did it, then the town.
But here's the difference.
But if now the town does it,
yeah.
now we may be forced to revisit that. So I think the domino effect goes all the way down, and the stores, and that was always my concern of how, I go to 58 all the time, and whether it was in the village part of it or further west of us, once again, and that's what's always thrown out there. Even when we were looking at that, it's always thrown out, oh, it's a one-time look, it's a one-time look. You just said it yourself.
Yeah, but here's
here's
the difference in what we wanted to do at the Glennon property. Glennon property, same highway business district, the same as this. What we were doing is we were adding on grocery store as a special permit only. So it didn't open up any other retail opportunities. It was only for a grocery store. And that was only a special permit that actually would come in front of the Village Board of Trustees. Here is actually a zoning change that goes from a highway business zone to a shopping center district, which allows all sorts of retail use up there. I mean, it's amazing that up by Crust up there, they wanted to put a 7-Eleven in. And they wouldn't let them put a 7-Eleven in that location for the sole reason behind the volume of traffic generated at 7-Eleven and the number of accidents that occurred in that area.
Yeah.
So now they want to do a zoning change to increase from 200 cars a day to 700 cars a day in an area that already, if you go and spend any time, you see where County Road 39 and Sandy Hollow Road intersect, and where any type of, you have the backups and the turning lanes in the middle, and at nighttime and in the morning time, in front of Tuckahoe School, on McGee Street there, on both sides of that, these intersections between North Bishops and Sandy Hollow and McGee Street and County Road 39, those intersections are chaos. And you can ask anybody who lives in that area, who's traveling through there, and at night, it's like Nancy said, at nighttime, they're doing the white street, they're cutting through all these different roads. It's only going to increase.
Not to mention 39 doesn't have safety strips on the side.
Right.
So
You can't go
the whole
anywhere.
thing, the reason why I said you're right, that there wasn't a zoning change, but the point that the argument back then was, we just said it here tonight, what's the big difference driving Bridgehampton, Hampton Bays? That argument still exists. It's just funny how now it was okay to apply it there, but not there with, with people who are against it. And that's where I'm saying, that's where the consistency needs to be. The argument back then was the zoning was put into place for a reason, and that's the big thing with this, with the County Road 39 in the town. That's a huge thing. It was there for a reason.
Yeah.
Because people capitalized, like you said, that room that you guys were in that meeting were filled with people looking to capitalize on that change.
Right.
Oh,
There's
sure.
Plenty of
I mean,
properties.
and what foresight they had to create the highway business zone, knowing full well that if we started to get shopping centers in, or plazas, which are kind of outdated now, what effect that would have not only on the traffic, but also on our community. So, I mean,
it
it
was good
really,
foresight to them.
It was. But I
And
think
the
we
and the
realized.
people who
it,
want to
you
look
know.
like Nassau County should go back to Nassau County, but like so much.
well, I mean, it was, I couldn't even get over it. I mean, not one, but maybe 8 people got up and talked about, I'm from Nassau County, and in Nassau County you have such conveniences, and we have shopping all over the place, and we have
Which is true.
we have
You can get
markets
anything
all
in
over the
15
place, and
minutes.
I'm like, oh my God, I mean, this is something that we don't want to have here. I mean, we're special, and and you start doing this, we become ordinary like every other place. I mean, one of the things that's great about our community is it's special. So,
Okay, so the battle continues here. So any further, we have a second public comment section. Anybody from the public want to speak? Okay, I can make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters involving village employees.
Second?
Right?
All in favor?
right.